Hello?
Welcome to the Thursday episode of The Couch Show. I'm your host, Lynn. This is Ray.
I don't know.
Not sure if you can see him because I can't see him. I just see a black screen.
You're pointing at a black screen.
Yeah, that's all I see. It's funny because I can hear you, but there's literally nothing there. I guess I'm talking to this duck, the StreamYard duck. So
The
Thursday's
streamer
episode of the
stuff.
Couch Show, we don't really have a topic. Thursday is very lighthearted going into the weekend. Just checking in, saying hello, catching up. We don't really have a topic. Thursday is very
Oh
lighthearted.
yeah, no, they can't see me.
So only you can see you.
Saying hello, catching up. That's so weird.
Oh, there's something right here that says having issues. I'll click on that. Oh my god, it's gonna
Uh-huh.
take the whole thing down.
No, it's gonna take you to like troubleshooting stuff. That's crazy that the video won't pull through. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. It says Ray and it's just a black screen. I'm shadow banned. They won't let me be seen. Yo, it's a crazy world we're living in today, man. Crazy, crazy world. I'm telling you, people are getting radicalized, and I don't know, man. I don't know what's the solution. They're like, sorry, like, hey, you get this half of the country, and the rest of you get the other half of the country, and it's all good.
Let's go into it. What have you been hearing?
Well, I know you haven't heard it because it's not on mainstream news, but
Okay.
did you hear that there was I guess, a murder attempt on one of the Supreme judges?
Whoa, no, I didn't.
So what I'm getting from the story, and mind you, I'm only hearing tidbits here and there, right? I'm not really going to dive into the story because I don't want manipulation. But what I'm
Right.
hearing is that this guy came from California. He was motivated by all the talks about as far as like gun control and abortion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he went to Maryland. He went close to the judge's home, and then
Mm-hmm.
he like I guess he saw a marshal and he turned himself in. And they
Oh
were
wow.
like that he planned on breaking in, and he
Mm-hmm.
planned on I guess kidnapping the guy, torturing him, all sorts of stuff. It was Brett Kavanaugh.
Hmm. You know that it's crazy that he got so close and then he decided to turn himself in. It was almost like he listened to his conscience and said, "Yo, this is wrong. What am I doing?"
He broke through the brainwashing.
Yeah.
He at the very end he was like, "Oh no, I'm being brainwashed. What is going on?"
I mean, he was able to realize like, "Hey, this is not, you know, this is not okay."
And then I'm looking
So
on.
now how do you think they're going to treat him? Are they going to treat him as like an
Oh, they'll
attempting
let him
kind
go.
of thing
No,
or
no, no. They're gonna let him go. The guy's gonna be gone in like he's probably out of jail already. They're gonna
mm,
slap on the wrist, nothing. He's not gonna
right,
get
'cause he
anything.
hasn't really done anything.
No, it's not even about that. It's not even about that. It's a federal law that's illegal to protest in front of judges' homes,
Mhm.
and they let these people protest all the time.
Right.
Once again, it's the powers to be will only enforce the law if it's against a certain group. If you get what I'm saying. Look at
Mhm.
what everything that happened over 2020, the summer of love, right? That they call it the summer of love, peaceful protests. All these people never got any. They were catch and release. It was like fishing. They were catch and release.
Right.
There was no charges brought. There was nothing held against them. But now look at this January 6th committee. It's a witch hunt, right? They're going after all these, all the conservative who just marched on January 6th, right?
Mhm.
And they're inciting them for was it treason, right? And ultimately, their end goal, of course, the January 6th committee is to go after the big guy, right?
Mhm.
So it's I don't know. As you can see, the law favors your political party at this point. It's crazy.
Wow. That is insane. It's almost like it's unfair.
It is.
It's unfair, but like, you can't just like sit here and pout and be like, "Oh man, this doesn't work for me. This isn't, fair for
Well,
me."
it's
It's
crazy
bullshit.
because like, but people were calling this into attention when all this censorship has been going on, social media and everything,
Right.
and yet everybody's like, oh, you're blowing it out of proportion.
Mhm.
Um, Dovetailing right into that, there's been prominent like YouTubers that have been it's called swatting or or being swatted.
Hmm.
It's where you could be doing your show and somebody can fake a threat, and then next thing you know, the cops are called to your house. So
What?
yeah, there was this one YouTuber. It happened to him late last night. Somebody said that he killed his wife
Hmm.
and he was planning on killing himself, and the SWAT team showed up. Right? They took the guy. Mind you, the wife
While he
answered
was
the
on air?
phone. No, 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 no. This is
Oh,
not. I
okay.
don't think he was on air. They just showed like his home security cameras and everything. But
Okay.
they go to his house. His wife answers the phone. Right? She answers the door. They
Hmm.
find the guy. They take him. They drag him out of the house. They throw him down on the ground. They throw cuffs on the guy.
Hmm.
Right? It's clearly the wife is okay, and like he has to go through all this
They're
stuff
still
because
attacking
somebody just
him.
calls. Yeah,
Oh
somebody's
my
like, "Oh,
god.
yo," and then this other guy, while he was on air, and you can go.
Hmm.
This is late last night, so the video is still there. They called it. I guess they called it a bomb threat, and so on air they had to evacuate the building. So the
Hmm.
whole crew and everybody in the middle of the show, they just get up, they leave, and for 3 hours the cameras were running.
Okay.
Yeah, he never turned off the live stream. He was on for like 3 hours. You could see at one point the cops poke in and they're looking all around,
Hmm.
and it's crazy because he's just doing his show. And mind you, the individual, I don't really find him as alt right or right leaning. I feel him kind of like he's in the middle. A
Okay.
lot of people call him a fence sitter. Because he really doesn't take sides on issues and stuff.
Hmm.
But to call it a bomb threat and for 3 hours, people are like, now here's the thing. I tuned in, right? Because,
Hmm.
people are started talking, they sending me messages and Twitter's blowing up and like my men's group was talking about it. So I turned in and he still had 30,000 people watching
Wow.
with an empty room.
Wow.
and,
He wanted to see what the
and
hell the outcome was gonna be, what was gonna go
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. And he had, uh, super chat. So people were donating, people were giving him money. So
What?
he's making money just sitting in the like outside while the
Jeez.
police, they were like SWAT showed up, FBI showed up,
Hmm.
they had to get the dogs out, the bomb sniffing dogs. It was crazy. I
Wow.
was like, yo. What up, Fuzz? Good morning. Good morning. Fuzz said, professional topless female protester storms NBA game to protest Roe versus Raid on June 9th, 2022. And then he also said he was on air and never turned off the live stream. Yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy. So it's getting bad out here. I don't know, Lynn. I think we might have to move to an island soon enough.
I mean, that's
They're
the
like, yes.
ultimate goal right there. I love that.
I mean, but think about like right now, everybody is like their boiler points are hitting their limits.
Yeah.
Like you figured gas is up, record high, right? Record high
Mhm.
prices. I think right now around us, it's gonna hit. If it hasn't hit already, it's probably $5, right?
Yeah.
The most we've ever seen. People are literally working so they could just pay for gas, so they can
Hmm.
go to work and pay for gas, right? It's like a vicious cycle at this point. With high gas prices, you're looking at diesel going up as well. So with diesel going up, that means that the cost of just our everyday commerce, right, is going
Hmm.
up, right? Because if you got to pay more for fuel to transfer, the trucks and your goods, then I guess who's going to pay for it? It's
The
going to be the
consumers.
consumer, right?
Yeah. So all the prices
So
are wrote. And you know what? We're
everything's
definitely
going up
seeing
across the
it
board.
in supermarkets. Oh my
Right,
God. Is it killing me
right.
when I go to pay at the supermarket?
Then there was rumors that China was coming out of their lockdown. Now it sounds like they're going back into their lockdown. So,
Hmm.
trade across the board, it's been hit badly,
Yeah.
dramatically, right?
Yeah.
So, with all this said, you're hearing about the milk formula shortage for babies, right? We're gonna
Hmm.
start seeing more and more shortage here and there. Prices are skyrocketing. What do you think's gonna happen? People are gonna lose their shit.
Yeah. That is true. I mean,
and I
we're definitely facing like uncertain times right now, like there's a lot of negativity in the world. There's a lot of, what, not even in the world, just here in our backyards, here in our communities. There's a lot of
right,
negativity. There's a lot of uncertainty. You know, prices are increasing. It's not like our wages are increasing. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of stress right now.
Yeah.
People are
People
robbing,
are
people are
robbing.
killing
People.
people. They're doing a lot of things. Family car costs
Mhm.
$100 to refill. Gas is
Yeah.
just you can't even afford it at this point. Like, what's the point of
And then
leaving the house?
and then the crazy thing is you have these politicians that are like, yo, oh, I don't get impacted by the gas price. I have an electric car. Go get an electric car.
Because
And
that's
it's
so easy to do.
right. First off, have you been to any of these websites for the electric cars? They are like
No, I haven't.
backlogged. I heard
Mm,
that people are buying Teslas, right? They're putting their orders in and they're buying Teslas. Like they got to wait 2 years for their order. And
uh-huh.
so there's professional people who are buying these cars, right? They're putting in orders now. They're flipping them 2 years from now, right? Because they're
Hmm.
buying at whatever locked in price that they suggested. And then they're putting them on the market and they're making a like 20% increase.
Cheeks.
Yeah, yeah, mind you. And this is what these politicians
That's
want to
that
say. They
hustle
want to be like,
mentality,
oh,
man. People are always gonna find a way to make a dime. Like,
I know. But
but,
it's fucking awesome that they're buying these cars, flipping them, right?
mhm,
And they're like, oh well, it's the demand, right?
yeah. And then for the person looking for the car, so what if you have to spend an extra 10, 15 grand? Like, you want the car now.
But electric cars doesn't really save you that much because I read an article, and they were like, the person of the article drove, I think it was a new Kia. I don't know what the car was. I want to say Kia, but I don't know if it was. But
Mhm.
they went from New Orleans to Chicago, right?
Okay.
And he was meticulous with planning out where he was going to go because what people don't know is that there's like two different types of chargers, and though you want to go with the one that can charge fast, right? So
Right.
that way it could charge you, within 30 minutes. Because most chargers, it's like for you to get a full charge, you got to charge for 8 hours.
Yeah, and think about that. Like,
So,
think about your cell phone. Think about your devices in general. Even with a fast charger, you're waiting a while for your thing to charge. So think about how big of a
hmm
battery a car
right,
has. It needs some
right.
time.
And it's not just the batteries itself. So, like the battery, you're right. It's one side, the battery tech needs to catch up to it to be able to
Hmm.
hold those capacities, to be able to go through that charging, multiple times, that fast charging. But it's also the charger itself. So what he
Hmm.
was saying in the article was like he was going through and trying to find and pinpoint on his route the chargers that were actually built for this fast charging. I don't know if it's like the wattage or what they put out, but it has to be a specific charger. And a lot of
Hmm.
the dealerships, they're like starting to upgrade now so they can have that technology. But uh, to me, the cost you were saving, so he did the analysis as far as what it would cost. And this was back in May, so gas prices were a lot cheaper, of course. But it was only he was saving like about $100, but he was spending so much time. And that's what you're trading. You're trading time for money.
Time for money, always. That's what it comes down to.
Right. So you remember, it takes like 5 minutes to fill up your gas, at the pump versus 30 minutes to an hour, and you may not even get it because the charger's not even working right? So you may
Right.
wait an hour thinking you're charging your car full and you're getting like a 15% bump because of the
Mm,
charger. So
that's
I don't
crazy.
know. And then there's some people are saying that the grid, like if we all went electric, we would just shut down the grid because the
I have
infrastructure is
heard
not
that.
there.
I've heard that we don't have the resources to accommodate that, to be able to keep going.
Right. Look at New York City. Look at New York City. You always hear brownouts.
Hmm.
Every summer they're always like, "Oh, hey, everybody, cut back on your AC use."
Yeah.
And one of the memes I saw was like, "How about you cut back on that Times Square use with those jumbotrons?"
Right. Turn it off for like 8 hours a day.
Yeah, how about that? Nah, they would never shut down Times Square. They'll make you miserable. You'll be 100
No,
degrees. You have no
even
power.
even when like people weren't allowed to be like in Times Square, like during like the height of the lockdown,
hmm
Times Square was still lit up. It was
hmm
still lit up. No eyes on it. And it was still like, oh well, it's Times Square. Let's keep it lit.
Right. That's I don't know, man. That's I can't buy into this all this like oh, save the planet, save the planet. I'm like, until you go hard on these companies, I don't want you to go hard on me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let it
I'm
happen.
starting to realize that like a lot of the issues that we have and a lot of the issues that we're facing now are from our form of like hands-off government. Like I think our we
Hmm.
allow companies to have too much power. We allow them to become too big, and it hurts us down to the mom and pop level where,
Right?
people aren't able to compete. They can't
Hmm.
they can't compete against these conglomerates. And these conglomerates, they're not actually helping us. They're just worried about, again, their bottom line. They're going to do whatever they have
Correct.
to do. They're going to push whatever product they think they need to. They're going to push whatever message they feel they want to, because there is no kind of governance around our businesses.
And and I would argue too that the government, our federal government, is way too big. We need to start taking that power away from the federal government and start moving it
Mm-hmm.
to the local government.
Mm-hmm.
Like it should be on our governors and our, the local level, the government on the local level to decide, what's good for my state.
Right.
Because unfortunately, the federal government will come out with a law or something that just doesn't apply to all 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
All 50 states are different. I mean, look at location. Look at just the
Shit,
you know
Texas, New York, Alaska,
right,
like come on, Hawaii,
what's applicable to Florida shouldn't be applicable to Alaska.
dude. Right.
It's just the geography is different, right? The culture
Mm.
is different. It's just two different places. And I think we need to, we said this a lot on the show. It's like we got to start filtering, bringing back the power to the community, right?
Yes, the
And it
local
starts at the
community.
local level,
Mm-hmm.
right? It starts with your town. It starts with your local government. It starts, like you say, the mom and pop shops. It's like once you start building up your town, then you can start thinking at a bigger level, building up the town, building up the next city, then building up your state, and then to be prosperous in your own entity. But when you
Mm-hmm.
got all this like just muckery of the federal government coming in, like even Florida that's just trying to survive, and then the federal government comes and smacks them down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, leave me alone. We're doing our economy. We're fine. We're fine over here. It's like, why do I have to put in and carry the slack of, if I'm Florida, why do I have to carry the slack of California and New York or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and then maybe when we start thinking that way, maybe all this radicalization that's going on, most people won't have time for that
Mm-hmm.
because like California is the most radical of them all, but economic wise, they're hurting. So
Yeah.
I think if they stop taking resources and stop trying to balance out the sheets from like the other states, and now they got to rely on themselves. Now they're going to be like, well, maybe we shouldn't worry about this, this, and this. Maybe we should worry about putting food on the table.
You know what? But we also have to find a good balance where, because we are just one country, we're supposed to be helping each other. So you have to find that
You're
balance of
you're right.
at what point, oh shit, this is hard, man. There's definitely no like cookie cutter answer to everything that's going on. Because if a
I
state
hear
is
you.
doing really well, they should be able to I want to say like the word train, like when you think of a team that's doing really well, like you want to be able to replicate that. You want to be able to have other people learn how to do the same. So there has
Hmm.
to be a way where all the states are coming together, but at the same time we need more strength in our,
Hmm.
local governments, in our local state to state, and even in our local towns, the decisions that are being made.
Right. I mean, I hear you, and I 100% agree with you. But we also have a problem right now in America where there's a disconnect. Like what you hear on the news and what you hear being touted as the major problems is not what everyday Americans are facing.
Right.
And there's like a real big disconnect with the inner cities and the people in these big cities with like rural America and farmers.
Hmm.
Your farmers, your truckers, your everyday working man. And at some point, we are going to get to a breaking point when it's like, look, my struggles and my the things that I gotta fight for, that's not being addressed. Those are not the issues you guys are talking about.
Hmm.
Like, you want to take my guns away when I need my guns to protect me, on my farm from, wild animals.
Yeah.
Or, like you hear in these conservative states, I saw an article that popped up where they're like, More and more teachers are stepping up to the plate and they're saying they want to arm themselves.
Hmm.
But you won't see that in a blue state. You'll see in a blue state where you will hear no, ban all guns. They just a bill just passed where they're trying to make the legal age to buy semi-auto rifles 21,
Hmm.
right? So once again, this is all conflicting. It's a conflicting narrative with what
Hmm.
certain people are feeling and what certain people want to do with their lives. So once again, if you don't have representation on the top level, what are we going to do?
Right. I mean, even to go off on a little tangent here. So moving like the age to purchase these weapons up to 21, um, that's a conversation in itself because honestly, our youth, they just don't have the knowledge that past generations have had. Like we have
Mm-hmm.
people getting all these college degrees and in random shit. They're getting college degrees in
Right,
randomness. And like they have no kind of like home ec foundation. They don't know how to change a light bulb. They don't know how to,
and
scrub a toilet. So it's like maybe we should, move the age up a little
jack the
bit.
age up. And then look, I
But
totally agree with you.
another issue is our education. Why aren't our children being taught these things?
I 100% agree with you, but then I would argue that we should move everything across the board at 21. Let's
Hmm.
stop being selective with what we decide is the age to be an adult,
Right.
right? Because that's really
Right.
what it is. And so you want to be 21 at certain things like buying alcohol and buying a gun. But then
Hmm.
you can say, oh, I mean, not an 8-year old, an 18-year old has enough knowledge to go and vote.
Right.
Like, no. So then it should be across the board 21. And then I would take it one step further and say, okay, you cannot do a sex change or you can't, mutilate your body in any way until you're
Hmm.
21.
Right.
And
I
that
mean,
could
even
go along
tattoo
with
artists,
tattoos.
like
Yes,
they
that
they're
goes
not
with
allowed
tattoos.
to they're not allowed to
Yes.
tattoo a young person's body, but a doctor is okay to change the person's sex. Like
No, and
what?
that's the
What?
sad part is because I'm hearing like I'm reading on Reddit and like there was a trans so it was a biological woman
Hmm.
who went who did she went trans to she wanted to be a man, so now she's a
Hmm.
trans man, right? And she did this at 18. And mind you, there are most places you require before you can do all of this, you need to have consent from a psychologist because
Okay.
you need a psyche valve, right? Um, and a psychologist signed off on it. She did this. She did the top surgery, so she had her breast removed.
Hmm.
It probably was expensive. It probably was like 5 grand or whatever. She got them
Right.
removed. Fast forward, she's 27 and she's like, she's depressed. She's devastated. She's like, I miss my breasts. I miss feeling like a woman. I don't know
Hmm.
why I did this. And like, she has regret. And there's a high suicide rate in the trans community
Hmm.
because of this. Like a lot of people do this and then they do have regret, 10 years later.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean,
heartbreaking
we've
because
become a society of people who want that short term, gratification, that
gratification.
short term
Yes.
win, and they're
Yes.
not really considering long term, what's going to be
Right.
best for them. They're
Right.
just like,
Right. And
hey, this is what I want right now. I mean, we're a society of spoiled brats. We're just like, I want it,
yeah.
man. I want it right
Yeah.
now.
Gimme,
Like,
gimme,
shut
gimme,
up.
gimme. Yeah. And it's sad.
Yeah,
It's
man.
heartbreaking because there was a psychologist who could have talked her out of this, who could have been
Hmm.
like, maybe what you're feeling is not what everybody's trying to tell you, but maybe it's a sense of low self esteem. And maybe we should do some work on learning how to self love yourself
Yeah.
before you decide you want to go with this. Because once you do this to your body, there's no coming back from it.
Right.
And that's another thing. It's like it's cool. Once again, I'm like with the conversation we had on Tuesday as far as it being a cult and what's being popular and what's being presented.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people they're just trying to be heard and they're just trying to fit in and they're just trying to find their purpose and they're also trying to find their confidence per se. They're just trying to be comfortable in their own skin. And I think that's what we need as a society. We just need to start challenging more people to find their self worth. and be like, oh, it's okay to, if you don't love yourself now, we'll work on it. We'll do this so that you can love yourself later. But let's not try to do these
Right.
extreme measures where you can't get back to it. Buzz said
Let's
he
see
pew
the
pew pewed
comment.
at 13 years old at Nima. Yeah, well, you know what? That's good because you had training and you had supervision and you had somebody that was helping you do that. And like
Hmm.
I 100% agree with that. I'm an opponent of teaching our kids how to use guns because it is a weapon of self defense.
Yeah.
My kids shot our guns. I took them
Hmm.
to the open range and I taught them safety, how to handle a weapon, and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, but
I've done it
most
too. I've
people,
taken my children. My children have been around guns. They know gun
right?
safety. I randomly pop quiz them. I'm like, hey, what are the three main rules around a gun? And um, they know that we have a gun in the house. They know it's not a toy. They know it's not something they're going to
Hmm.
take out and like show friends. These are the conversations that you should be having with your children,
But
because
right,
ultimately we're responsible for them to become adults.
yes,
Like we're training them right now. So these are things
and
that they have to
actually,
get involved with.
your kids are a reflection of you. So
Hmm.
like, if if your kids are a bunch of little assholes, you might want to question, what are you, right?
Yeah.
So, but once again, most gun owners are like that. They are responsible.
Hmm.
But most gun crime and gun violence is what? It was an illegal weapon,
An illegal
right?
weapon, or someone who just wasn't like, yeah, an illegal weapon, a stolen weapon, I was gonna say.
Right. So if that's the case, once again, this goes back to punishing the people who are doing the right thing.
Hmm.
Like this goes back to the argument of climate control, right? You see these people who are, they're very conservative with being sure that they recycle. They don't want to eat meat because they believe the whole story of meat causes problems in the environment, all this stuff. But then at the end of the day, guess who's still running rampant?
Right.
These companies,
The
right?
companies are
So
still doing
once
whatever they
again,
want.
right, and then
They're
what
mass
comes out?
producing, animals. They're pumping them with all these like hormones and stuff that we're now seeing
Right,
is, being transferred into our children and into us.
because right now, like
Again,
the number one,
there's no kind of control when it comes to these companies and what they can
right,
do and
and
how
most laws
large
and
they can
regulation,
become.
right, and most laws and regulation, they're good. They're coming out, and all they're doing is they're just um, punishing the good law abiding citizens. Once
Hmm.
again, and you see it time and time again with every law and every kind of regulation that comes out. All you're gonna do is punish the people. You're just gonna make it difficult for the people who follow the law.
Hmm.
But the people who don't want to follow the law, they're gonna find a way. They're gonna find a way to get these guns.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about it is like these guns are coming across our borders. And so when you make the argument like, oh, let's secure the border, guess what? They're like, no, 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 we're not talking about that.
Hmm.
But then it's like, wait, I thought you wanted to stop the violence of gun violence and all this stuff. It's like they contradict themselves so much. It's like that meme I was telling you about where it's like it's the person and like at the back of their head there's like a chip. And when
Hmm.
you put the chip for Roe versus Wade, they're like, kill all the babies. And then you take the chip out and you put the chip for gun control, and they're like, oh, save all the babies. It's
Hmm.
like, which one is it? It's like, depending on whatever they want to talk about, they'll flip the script. And this is why a lot of people are like, I can't get into politics because it just contradicts itself.
Yeah.
And then you're bashing your head because there's no solution. All it is more answer. The answer is let's punish the people who follow the law. Let's
Hmm.
keep putting more laws out to screw the common man who wants to follow the law. But those bad guys, those rascally bad guys, they're gonna keep doing whatever they want.
Yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to, following the money. Follow the money. And like this
Yeah.
country, we're so, we're run by money. From the day you're born, you're like, "Oh my god, what am I going to be when I grow up? How am I going to earn money?"
Yeah.
Like our focus is always about on that bottom line,
Money,
and
money,
yet
money.
we're
Yeah.
not we're not governing these businesses who are ultimately in control.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking about money, so I didn't know what the topic was going to be today, and I thought maybe if we want to dive into about, do we think as you know, our society, you know, our Western society, um, pop culture, just everything in general. Do you think we're over sexualized at this point?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
there was a story that popped up, and I'm pulling it up right now. That's why I'm kind of like buying time here.
Hmm.
But it was I believe. Hold on, let me pull it up before I talk about
We're
it.
absolutely you know, over sexualized as a society. It's everywhere. You know, it's in cartoons, it's on TV, you know, in shows, it's in movies, it's in the music we listen to. Um it's just it's being pumped into us subconsciously, you know? And then um you know, especially our youth, people who aren't at the age of consent, they're being pushed to, you know, look a certain way because they want that attention, they want to fit in, so they're being pushed to sexualize themselves at an earlier age. And you know, the ads that we do see, you don't, you know, really see ads for birth control. We used to, we
Mm-hmm.
don't anymore, but you do see the ads about, oh my god, a man has to perform, a man has to perform whether he's, you know, 80 years old or 18 years old. So I definitely think there's a big push on this sexualization, especially now with Pride. And because like you were saying, this whole Pride movement is a sexual preference. And
It
because
is.
it's so big and because it's so mainstream, it's continuing to push this hypersexualization that we
It's a
have.
sexual preference that, and it should be something that's kept in the bedroom. Like I should not. I mean, of course, you know, there, but it became like a lifestyle. You know, it became a lifestyle. And I know that there's certain characteristics, you know, where like if a man, you know, is openly gay, he tends to act a little more effeminate, right? And I get it, but for the most part, it should just be something where like it shouldn't be obvious. Like it should be whatever your preference is, that's your preference, you
Right.
know. It shouldn't be part of your day-to-day life, you know? Because
Hmm.
once again, like you said, it's what you do in the bedroom. Like I don't understand how we decided to make the bedroom, which was something private and intimate, into mainstream.
Mainstream.
So
To the point where,
um
you know, we have schools going into this education kind of sector. And
yeah.
you know, that's definitely gonna, you know, create even more of it. It's just gonna
Yeah.
further push this agenda of hypersexualization.
So I bring the question up because I saw this article and I was like, holy geez, like this is the break. I feel like this has got to be breaking point. This has
Hmm.
to be breaking point as far as where we are as a society. We just got to turn the ship, quote unquote, right? So the article is that there's a this young lady on OnlyFans, right?
Hmm.
You've heard of OnlyFans, right?
Yep.
Okay, so she's on OnlyFans, and she posted proof that she made over $50 million on OnlyFans
Hmm.
last year, and I'm like,
Holy crap.
um, I mean, more power to her.
Hmm.
I mean, she's at this point, I say she's a businesswoman, right?
Hmm.
She knew how to capitalize on the site, but I'm like 40. She made $42.3 million.
Hmm.
So yeah, 42 million is what she made. Oh no. Let me rephrase that. No, sorry, I didn't see. She's 19 years old, and she made 52 million, but after taxes, she got 42 million.
Okay.
And I'm like, holy jeez. I mean, think about the level that is. Like she's making more money than the people you see on TV.
Right.
Because like I remember when and of course, you know, this is dated, but I remember when the and you always hear it like when a cast from a show, they want to get paid more, right?
Hmm.
And so then it comes out, the article comes out that they're getting $1 million per episode, right?
Hmm.
And if you figured you know, this is a very popular show, right? So this is like these guys are like very popular, you know, entertainment wise, right? And you figure if a show has 20 episodes, that's $20 million a year,
Hmm.
right? That they're making. She cleared $42 million
That's after taxes.
after
That's
taxes.
take home. That's cold hard
So
cash, man.
that's think
Holy
about
crap.
that level. Think about
What's crazy
your
though
artists, your
is
music
for her
artists.
to be 19 and have that amount of money at her fingertips, and then for her to also be 19 and be receiving that money based on her sexuality. What's that
Yeah.
doing to her, like, mentally, like in her
Like,
mind?
how
If
broken is
she,
she to think that that's all it is about sex and that she's never going to
right,
find that connection with anybody? Like, that's the sad part about it.
to just feel that, like, her sexuality has, a price, it has a value.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. you
And
know
and she
and to
showed,
see, and it also pushes you further, like if she sees, hey, I'm making this much money doing this, like, why don't I try this, why don't I try
right,
that? So now there's this young 19-year-old woman who,
promoting, yeah. So this is
probably
only,
doesn't have, years of experience in the bedroom, but she's being pushed to,
oh, she got years of
try
experience.
different things that, might be out of her comfort zone,
It's
again,
crazy. It's crazy
following
that you say
money.
that she doesn't have the years. Like, you really believe that narrative that she's like she's such so innocent in the bedroom.
I mean,
Like, for you to get to the
if she's
level,
19, what does she have? Maybe 4 or 5 years of sex experience? Come on. Like, is that like most people start having sex at 12? Like, think about it.
once
She is
again,
probably in her teens, maybe
well,
14, 15.
once again, and this is where, like, I try to stress to men a lot that men and women live in two different worlds. And when you say, like, oh my gosh, she only has a few years of experience, but let's say you're right. She started at 14 and she's 19
Mhm.
at 5. She could easily be averaging 100 guys a year. That's a lot. Then that blows out 99% of men in this society.
I feel like there's no way. There's no freaking way that anybody's having that much sex. Like,
There
no
is.
way.
I
No
mean,
way.
if she's going out and let's say she goes out to a party, she hooks up with a guy. She's doing this every week, right?
Mhm. Look,
Every
all
week,
right.
just
Here's a
one
number.
guy.
Thank you, Fuzz. Thank you, Fuzz. So she was 15. On Dr. Phil, she had over 50 partners. God damn. At 15?
Yes, Lynn, this is what I'm trying to tell you, man. These women are very hypersexualized. I mean, these girls in college, they're openly saying, like, they're hooking up with a guy at least once or twice every week.
Mm-hmm.
If there's 52 weeks in a year, that's already 100 right there.
Mm.
And it happens. You out partying, you having a good time. Boom, it is what it is.
But there's only so many days a week that you can, go out and party. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, this is
That's why I said if you
insanity
go
to
out
me.
and party every week,
Like, I know I've heard
Friday and Saturday,
statistics.
you're hooking up.
I've
That
heard
is
the
100
statistics
dudes.
that if if a female, well, I don't know if it's female, but if someone starts having sex by the time they're in high school, they're usually averaging about 10 partners before they graduate. But 10
And
is a lot different than 100. That there's a 90% difference there. Like,
plus, once again, let's go back into the mindset. The mindset as far as an individual like this who is making $42 million on OnlyFans. You don't think that she's also entertaining the possibility of being escorts for very wealthy people?
well, I mean, if you're making 40 million, you don't need to be nobody's escort. Like, come on.
You think, or
That's
or
chump
you don't
change.
think that
That's
she's?
chump change. If I'm making
You
40
think
million
like
in one
that?
year, if I'm
Yes,
making
you
40 million
think like
dollars in
that,
one
but
year, come
But when
on.
you have a print like a Saudi prince who's like, "Yo, we want you to be on this boat, and we're gonna give you another $10 million," you don't think she's gonna do it?
Hmm.
I hear stories of that all the time, and it's not even like OnlyFans girls; it's Instagram girls too.
Hmm.
But let me go down because they showed what she made from April 1st, 2021 to April 25th, 2022. And let
Hmm.
me break this down because this is crazy. From subscriptions, guys who are subscribing to her channel. And granted, it could be, I'm saying it's guys, it could be women too.
Right.
But From the subscriptions alone, she made $16 million from the subscribers. That's the monthly like dues.
Yep.
And if you want to believe that we're in a recession, there's still dudes that are still signing up, even though gas prices are going up, food prices are going up, everything is going crazy.
Hmm.
$16 million of subscriptions. Okay. On top of that, she made 161K in tips. I don't even know what tips are on the app. I really don't know, but she made 161K in tips.
Okay.
Then from messages, she made $25 million from messages.
Damn.
So I can't at this point. I can't even fault the girl. I'm like, go more power to you. You're a businesswoman. You're doing what you got to do. Look, it's the oldest profession in the book.
Hmm.
You capitalize that. She's in her prime as far as being young, good looking. She's making a crazy amount of money. I hope somebody helps her to you know manage that as far as being able to have that because she's not going to be that young for the rest of her life, right? And I hope that she can live within her means to keep that kind of money.
Right.
But my problem is not with her per se, but it's the people who are subscribing. Like what are we where are we in society where these guys are so desperate to keep simping for I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Like simping for a virtual female and subscribing and giving her all this money. Like I'm I'm mind boggled.
Hmm.
I'm confused. I don't get it. And the sad part about it is like these guys, there's two terms that people use in our society. One of the terms is they call them an incel, right? Which
Hmm.
stands for involuntarily celibate, right? So these guys believe that no matter what they do, they just can't get laid because
I
of
haven't heard this term, but okay.
yeah. Well, these guys they believe that no matter what they do, no matter what they because of the way the dating scene is today, it's
Hmm.
so uh, jacked up that there's no way that they're ever going to get laid again, right?
Hmm.
And then of course, the other term you've heard is simps, right? These guys who just don't have a backbone, can't stand for themselves, and they'll do whatever they worship women's feet, right?
Right.
They pedalize women in society, and it irks me because both of these two guys, if they just took some time and put the work and money into themselves, they would be able to put themselves back into the dating scene and not be like this.
Hmm.
So it's like, what is the crisis that we have? Is the crisis that we have we could talk about these women who are putting their bodies on sale for money, or should we really talk about these guys
Hmm.
that are just lost in all of this?
Mm.
I'm gonna make some tea, so I'm gonna let you. I'm listening in my headphones while I make some tea.
Okay.
I want to see what your take is. I don't know.
Huh. So, all right. So I thought about starting OnlyFans myself because I see like the
The
opportunity
potential and
that
the money.
is there. Hell yes. What? You could make mad money on OnlyFans. And it's not even that difficult to do. But what stopped me was my own self respect. I felt like, damn, like if I'm, sexualizing myself in this way, then what's left? Like, what more of me do I have to give? And
But
so I don't know, like to like dive into it for real. Like I support women who are on OnlyFans. Like get that bread. Because you have different options. You have the subscriptions. You can send messages, which is this is what you were talking about. You can send messages to all your subscribers where like your photo is like blurred and they have to pay in order to see what that message is.
huh?
Then you can also sell things like your panties, you can sell socks, like you can sell intimate things that people want to buy from you because you have this OnlyFans set up because
There
they
was
know who you are. They're
um,
like, "Ooh, this is my girl."
an article popped up where this woman was selling her boob sweat.
Hmm. Her boob sweat. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
I don't
thing.
even
That's
know
the thing.
how
That's
do
one
you
of the first
bottle
things that
that.
sweat when I'm like a little high.
I'm like, how do you even bottle that? How do you even do all that? And once again, like I said, I'm not really mad at these women.
What?
I think we have a broken society where, once again, we're over sexualized, right? We got porn 2.0, which is what OnlyFans is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have people just, hooking up rampantly. And it's like, where does this all go? Where do we stop? Where do we, um, I don't know, turn it back around?
Mm-hmm.
Because once again, in just the regular dating culture, just man and women, right? That's crazy because it's over sexualized with Tinder, Bumble, all these apps, right? You
Yeah.
got the extreme of like OnlyFans, you got the extreme of porn, you got all this stuff, right? And then even like what we said, with Pride and the LGBT community, right? That they're so big and mainstream, but it's once again, it's your sexual preference. Like I don't know why do we become a society that's so deviant in sex,
Yeah. Which ultimately, the point of sex is to reproduce. Let's be honest.
right?
Sex is to
Yet,
reproduce.
and then when you talk about that part, we broke down the nuclear family, right? It's taboo.
Mm-hmm.
It's taboo to say as a strong, independent woman that you want to be a mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's taboo to even talk about. Like we drove the dad out of the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's taboo to talk about what comes out of being over sexualized,
Yeah.
right? And yet we got mass protesters out here fighting for abortion because we are an over sexualized society, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've hearing um, uh, pro-abortion individuals bombing pro-life like charities or places, right? They're bombing
Mm-hmm.
them with Molotov cocktails and stuff like that. Articles are coming out, left and right about that, and it's like, but once again, we don't acknowledge what sex is about. Like you said, it's the ultimate the end goal is for reproduction,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't talk about that. What comes after that, as far as how to raise a kid. With a mom and a dad, the nuclear family, right? All that stuff, it's been dismantled through pop culture.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's crazy. To me,
Which
it's
when it comes back down to it, pop culture is just a business. It's just a
it
business.
is.
It's made up of a bunch of different businesses that are trying to make money. There is, it's not like we're following, companies that have great cultures that, they're thinking about the future, they're thinking about like where we're going. Like, no, we're following companies and ideas that are just looking to take the money that we earn in a hard way. All right. Money does not come easy. And they're just trying to get the money out of our pockets.
Right.
We're blindly following them. Like, oh, hey, this artist put out a song. It sucks, but everybody's gonna sing it. Every radio station's gonna play it because it's that
Every movie's
person.
gonna have it. Yep.
Hmm.
And
I mean,
so I
even
don't.
even children's movies now have very adult music in it.
So with that, with this, bring it back to the OnlyFans thing. Like with everything, you know, it's funny that you say you brought music and culture and everything. So the girl that the young lady who did $42 million, right?
Hmm.
It's Bad Baby, and she's also a rapper. So she's moving away from OnlyFans and trying to do, go into the mainstream entertainment,
Hmm.
which that's similar to like, to me, she sounds like Cardi B 2.0.
Okay.
Because Cardi B was a known stripper,
Hmm.
and she leveraged that, and she used that to get herself, you know, to being one of the biggest, rappers, in the industry right now, right?
Hmm.
And so I mean, I don't know. Like, I hear you with like, yo, get that money, but I've also heard stories where there's teachers and parents who jump on OnlyFans because it's the thing to do to make money,
Hmm.
and then their kids find out about it,
Mm.
and the teachers are outed, right?
Right.
and they're not as popular as Bad Baby, right? That's like, oh my god, she's a unicorn in this industry, if you want to call it
Right.
that. Because I gotta look at her and I'm like, well, she's not my type, but she's definitely somebody's type if she's making $40 million, right?
Hmm.
But the reality is, you're not gonna make that kind of money.
Right.
That's like us on YouTube. We're like, oh, let's start YouTube. We want to jump on YouTube because we see these YouTubers making $1 million, and we're like, oh, that's easy. We could do that. And look, we got no growth, right? You
Right.
gotta have that hustle mentality as well. You gotta have that hustle mentality as well. And I think that's what most people don't see. It's like they glorify, like, oh, I could do this. It's so easy. I could just send pictures. I could send messages.
Hmm.
Why can't I make this money? And then it's like the pros are outweighing the cons. Is that you're putting yourself out there. If it leaks, right now, your neighbors know, society knows, and you really didn't make the kind of money you thought you were going to make.
Hmm.
So, but once again, my gripe is not with the women who's doing this. I get it. You listen. You're a kid in the candy store. Enjoy it. My gripe is with the fellas. It's like, look, we got to step up. We got to have a little more pride in ourselves and stop paying this.
Yeah. I mean, in general, as a society, we need higher standards. Like, we need to hold ourselves to higher standards, and we also need to, hold each other to higher standards. Especially with things like OnlyFans and this hookup culture, it's like, why? What are you getting from it to support this, to jump onto this bandwagon? And
Well, of course, it's the
ultimately,
money.
we have like a society who's broken mentally because we are just blindly following whatever the new trend is. We're not, doing the work and trying to figure out where are we going to be in the future. No one's even asking these questions. Like, as a country, where are we going to be in 10 years? Where are we going to be in 50
Mhm.
years? Nobody's asking this.
I'm scared to think of where we're going to be in 50 years, to be honest with you. I really don't see. I mean, you got like certain people that steps up and questions all this stuff, and then they quickly they get demonetized, they get attacked, they get labeled, they get all this stuff for trying to, right the ship, right? To be the one to come and try to make change, be the difference. And if you ain't telling the usual message, you're the enemy. And at
Right.
this point, you're the enemy of the state. It's like they're coming for you. They're coming, like, literally. They powered the federal government to come after you if you think differently now.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Once again, I think it goes back to self love. It goes back to the individual, and it goes back to the point where it's like, hey, look, you gotta just take some pride in yourself. Like, why are you
Yeah.
spending $20 um, because you want attention from a woman on OnlyFans who's never gonna see you as anything but a mark?
Hmm.
Like, why are guys okay with that? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I really don't. And I know it's not about the images. It's not about that because porn's free.
Hmm.
Like, if it was about, it's not about that. It's about the attention. It's about, like you said, like, you could send a message. You could be like, it's about catering to the individual
Yeah.
and giving them something that they like. There's a reason why when you get an escort, right? You can go and get an escort that's cheap if you're just trying to get off, right?
Hmm.
Or a lot of these guys, a lot of these business guys, they go and they go for what's called a girlfriend experience, right?
Hmm.
And they're paying top dollars because she's gonna spend the night treating you right like you're her man, right?
Hmm.
Right? She's gonna shower you with that affection, that femininity that men are seeking. And it's sad that they think they got to go to OnlyFans for that.
Right. I mean, again, it
That
comes back to that instant gratification, because if you find somebody at OnlyFans to follow and you throw them $20, they're gonna give you that attention that you're looking for.
I mean, for that, for them, I mean, at that point, why don't these guys sign up for that AI friend bot and just talk to the AI? Because the
It's not
AI
the
will be
same.
nice to you, and the AI
It's
will
not
say
the
everything nice
same.
and everything that you want to hear. Like I don't get why. Like they gotta know. These guys gotta know that they're just the mark.
Hmm. I mean,
Like,
they're
what
also
do
they're
they
also
really?
looking for, connections with with other people. Everyone is like dying for that connection. That's definitely something that's just natural. We want to connect. We want to, feel something. And, people are losing their inhibitions just chasing that feeling.
Um, Not to
In
change
50
subjects, but
years, we're gonna be
you
batteries.
put Fuzz's yeah, you put Fuzz's comment on, and I 100% agree, and I see the writing on the wall because with like Elon Musk's Neuralink and also with the metaverse that's coming,
Mm-hmm.
we're I guarantee it about 50 years we're probably just gonna be in a pod just connected to this metaverse. And I could see it. Why I could see it. I could see the reason why. Something like OnlyFans explains why people would be so gravitated to the pod,
Mm-hmm.
right? Look at me. Look at me. I'm a big dude, right? Let's say when I go to the pod, I could look like Chad. I could look like a nice buffed out version of me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm walking around in the pod and I'm in the metaverse and I'm getting all this attention because this is how I look. And of course, I'm gonna have this false confidence and like you said, instant gratification. I'm walking
Mm-hmm.
around and all this. I'm telling you, in 50 years, it's gonna be no different than these furry conventions I was telling you about,
Jeez.
where people are dressed up in like furry outfits and they're just hooking up with people because they don't know how they look.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how the metaverse is gonna be.
Mm.
What's weird about the metaverse is when you're gonna be hooking up with a guy's gonna be hooking up with what he thinks is a chick and it's actually another dude
But it's
because
not
he
going to be
picked a
weird because in 50 years, like we're going to have more acceptance of like pride and of
no no
like
no
us being
no
like,
no 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 that's not what I'm talking about. There was have you heard the show Black Mirrors?
no.
There's an episode on Black Mirrors where the guy and it stars Anthony Mackie who plays the Falcon in Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on this episode and he's going into like this virtual world with his buddy and he knows his buddy. His buddy's a dude, and they go on and they're like fighting in the street like Street Fighter game. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the show takes like a left turn and the buddy who's a female avatar like makes a move on him.
Mm-hmm.
And so they hook up in the virtual world, right? And it's like it gets to the point where he's in his real life. The wife knows about him going into this VR, hooking up with his buddy, and then it's like a day for the wife to go out and hook up with like a real person. So it's their day, right? And they do it like once a year. And the wife goes out of the house. She's on a date with some dude, and
Mm-hmm.
he's on this VR headset, and he's banging his buddy, who's a female avatar.
Well, in my mind, what I was going to was, like our society is like at a place right now where we're accepting that boys can be girls can be boys. It doesn't really matter. It's not really like a thing. So when you switch over to the virtual world, it's not going to matter who's behind that. It's only going to matter what you like because it's what you see on screen.
But that's see,
There's not going to
but
be
the thing
that
is,
weirdness of, oh my God, am I really talking to an 80-year-old dude? No,
no,
it's not.
but what you're talking about is an individual who's open minded and who's being raised to be open minded. Granted, but I'm talking about just like a traditional guy who's just
Mhm,
going in looking for a virtual chick, like right. So let's
mhm,
go to an example, right, where there's like a fat guy who just wants to put on these goggles and get into the VR metaverse, and he wants to look like a Chad, and he wants to live a Chad lifestyle, right? He wants to go and
mhm,
hook up with a chick. He goes and he starts talking with the chick in the virtual world, right, the metaverse, or the female avatar. Let's call it the female avatar. He starts talking to her, and he's like, "Oh shit, this is going the right way because she seems so nice. She's easygoing. She likes video games like I like video games, right?
mhm.
She she's cool with everything I do. She laughs at all my jokes, and then right, you hook up with her, and then she's like, I got a confession. I'm really a man in real life."
Mhm.
Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, oh shit.
Right. And it's not going to matter. In 50 years, it's not going to matter because right now, a 5-year-old can switch their sex. It doesn't matter.
No, it will matter because look at what the guy is still preferencing and look at what he was looking for. He was looking for a woman in the Avatar world. He didn't go in looking for another dude in the Avatar world. He was still
Okay.
has a preference. He was still looking for a woman. However, it turned out that her personality and the fact that she was low key, low cool was
Mm-hmm.
because she was a dude. So the
Okay.
reality is, I think this is going to happen a lot more than people think. Because I hate to say it, but ladies, your personalities suck. You guys are very entitled, and guys don't like dealing with it. So they'll go to a chick on OnlyFans because what? She's nice to them. This is why Bad Bunny or Bad Baby. I was about to say Bad Bunny. Bad Baby. This is why Bad Baby can go on OnlyFans and make $40 million because she's nice to these dudes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can't say that because everyone has a bad attitude. Everyone has, not everyone's gonna get along with everyone. Like, dude, just find other women. Like you can't categorize like, oh, all women are, they suck. Their personalities suck. That's not true.
The stats
It's just the
can,
women. It's just the women
and you
that
could argue the stats all you want, but the stats are showing that women are only nice to what the top 20% of dudes,
Mhm.
and then the other 80% of dudes, right? They'll go on a date with that guy just so they could get a free dinner out of that guy, knowing that she has no intentions on doing anything with this guy because she already weeded him out. And then the crazy part about it is that women are willing to share the guys on the top. Like if a guy has status and money, women are willing to share that guy. That's crazy.
You're the shit that you think about is crazy. Like, what? Where are you even getting this from? I would not be okay with sharing my dude. That's not cool.
If
Like,
your guy looks
I don't know any women who would be okay with sharing their
once
dude.
again, once again, you're saying you're not okay because you're talking about average dudes. I'm talking about the Chad dude, the guy who is like, if you believe, I'm not gonna ask you to give yourself a score, right? But let's say you feel like you're a 7, right? Let's say you feel like you're a 7, and you're dating a guy that you feel like that is beneath you. You're gonna use him. You're gonna use him and abuse him easily. That's female nature. That's female mentality. You're gonna use him. You're gonna see him not as an equal to you, but you're gonna see him as a tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're dating somebody who's like you perceive as a 9, who's way out of your league, who has a really he got it together, right? He makes good money, he looks good. You're gonna know that man's getting attention, and
Right.
it may bother you that he sees another woman, but I guarantee you're not gonna want to go back down with the guy who's a 5, who once again you didn't see as a yeah. There you go. Thank you, Fuzz. Thank you, because she thinks I'm talking out of my ass.
I do. I really do. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. But you know what? It's also because, like, I'm not mainstream. I don't give a shit about what's going on the internet. I don't give a shit about what's going on, on, social media and what our society is trying to do. So maybe because I'm not an average woman, I still feel like I don't know any women who's willing to share their man. But I don't know. Like, some of these things that you be telling me is just like, what?
Yeah, but you know what? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Most of the women that you don't have a man that's shareable.
Right.
So
Right, that's
yeah,
true.
so
And
that's
that,
why
you know
they're
what?
like,
That's where I see what you're saying because you know what? I haven't been with a 10. I don't know. I've never been with a 10
right.
as far as a
So
man,
with
but
these women, if anything, the reality is that these women are dating men that they feel that they perceive that are below them, and the chance that they would get somebody who gives them just some attention, they're gonna cheat. So yes, I agree with you. Most of the women you know will not be okay
wait,
with
I need
their
you to
dude
repeat that because I
cheating.
did not understand that. You said so because women are with men that they perceive to be below them, they are willing to cheat?
Yes, if that
No.
guy comes into their lives.
The
Yes.
fuck? No.
Oh yes. Oh yes. most of your friends would be willing to cheat if a guy who they perceived as equal or better shows up into their life. Of course, they're not going to ruin what they have to cheat with a
I
piece of
can
shit.
say, I know a lot of women who are in relationships that they feel like they, not that they feel like, but that I see from the outside looking in, they deserve better.
Yes.
They could do better. So I can
Yes.
agree with that. Now,
Yes. So what does that perception of I could do better, what do you think that's going to lead into? If
right,
something better comes
it opens it
along,
up
I'm
that
going to
if
jump
somebody
on it.
comes along and it's like they are better, then okay, I
Yeah.
understand. Like, and like I
Right.
also understand that, a lot of people stay in relationships because they haven't found the next one yet.
Yes, exactly. There you go. So now you're agreeing with everything that I'm saying.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you what I understand from what you're saying. But what you're saying is completely bogus. Like, you're telling me, so if I'm dating a man who I feel is out of my league, is basically what you're saying. Like, if you find somebody who's a 10, who's out of your league, you're willing to allow them to, give other people attention just because you don't want to let them go? Fuck that. Like, no. No, I don't know anyone who. I mean, your self esteem must be
Watch that
really
movie
fucking
Fuzz
low.
just mentioned.
Your self esteem has to be really, really low for you to feel like, oh yeah, like it's okay if you like talk to other people on the side as long as I'm your main or as long. No, no. I
You
disagree.
say no, but then once again, we've called attention to the show as far as like females' nature to compete,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you don't think these women are going to compete with the other chick, even though they know that he's you know seeing this other woman? They're going to compete, and they'll be like, "I'm gonna be the main bitch. Watch, I'm better. I know I can be better." Like, look, if you know this man's a catch,
I
you're gonna want to
understand.
compete with the other chick.
I understand. All right, so I do understand that like somebody like seeing a relationship and they're like, oh, I want that man or I want that woman. That yeah, they are going to put in the effort to try and take that person and replace that person. But to be the person in the relationship and then find out that that person's entertaining stuff on the side, like there's no reason to stay in that relationship. I don't understand that.
Yeah, but you say that, and you know that you hear it all the time. You see it in novelas where there's people who are, the man has the main wife who's at home, and she's like, "Look, I don't want your shit to ever come over to our home." And then in the novelas, right, what happens?
Okay,
Their shit comes along to the home, and then it's like
right.
all the drama and the conflict and all that. There's women who are willing to do that, Lynn.
Mm, mm.
Now, granted, you
See,
haven't,
maybe this
you
is why I'm
not
not
because
married
you're
because
not in
I
that
this is
scenario.
no.
But
I'm shutting that shit
you're
down
not,
quick.
but you're not in that scenario, Lynn. That's a rarity when the top what I'm saying is like the top 10% of men they could
Hmm.
do that. Whereas the reality is that most of the women who are in average relationships
Hmm.
think they could do better, or they're staying with this person until somebody better comes along.
Yeah.
And once again, this goes back to what we were talking about. Whereas I could see the guy in the metaverse going for a female who's like laid back and low key,
Hmm.
and the female turning out to be a dude because y'all women's personality nowadays sucks.
Hmm.
Like once again, you guys got this this image of grandeur, and you guys got to humble yourself.
I don't know. I don't know. I really
I
don't
love
see
the
it, right?
smirk.
No.
I love the
I
smirk and the
like
facial expressions.
maybe I'm not really understanding your point of view because I feel like attacked as a woman. I feel like you're just like, oh, you women suck. Like, fuck you, right? But I
I
think
say
that
that.
I think that what you're saying makes sense to a point, but I don't think it's because women's attitudes or the way women are, yada yada. Like, no, it's not that. It's not
All
that.
right, so
It's
and I get
it's
it. I
the
get it
fact
because
that
when I do
it's the
say
fact
things,
that we, on the metaverse, you are gonna be finding different people in the world who may think like you, who may, you're gonna be attracted to.
but that's the
But
thing in the metaverse. The metaverse. Think about what the metaverse is going to be. Think about how fake we are in a society in this day and age, right? Think about
right,
how
but your
people are
personality
fake.
is gonna come through. Your personality is gonna come through in the words that you choose to use, in the just the way that you are. Your personality is going to come through.
Right, right. So if women's personality sucks, then a woman in the metaverse who's going to make herself look ideal, right?
Hmm.
She's going to go to the metaverse. Think about what women do nowadays. And this is the thing that drives me freaking like I think it's so hilarious. that women will say like, I want a real man. I need a real man. But
Mm-hmm.
yet their hair is fake, their nails are fake, their eyelashes are fake, their boobs are fake, their heels are fake. Now they got the fake butts, they got the fake hips, they got the like you ever seen those TikToks when a woman is ugly as hell and she put on her face and then she's all of a sudden looking gorgeous?
Completely different. Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to be in the metaverse. Like you're going to see this in the metaverse. So if women are doing that now in this day and age, right? What makes you think they're not going to do this in the metaverse? Whatever you think that you are just hideous in yourself, you're going to like glorify it in the metaverse. Now, granted, it's going to be an equal playing field because there's a fat guy. Like I said, the fat guy can look like Chad in the metaverse, right?
Mm-hmm.
But looking at Chad and going up, he's not going to be able to talk and act like Chad. Whereas women, for some reason, your guys' nature nowadays, you guys are a bunch of chameleons. You guys can act that way. Why? Because you guys got an inflated ego. Once again, a woman who's a 5 is still trying to get a 10, and she's miserable that she's dating a 5. I don't understand that. Because the guy who's a 5 is just happy to have anybody.
But that's not
So if
true,
he
right?
gets a
That's not
5,
true
he's going to
because
treat her like
guys
a
are usually the
goddess.
ones who cheat. Guys are usually the one who cheat in the relationship. Guys are the one who usually fuck up in the relationship because you knock up your wife and then suddenly
You're
she's
talking,
grumpy, her boobs hurt, she's tired, and
wait,
you
you're
still
talking
want to
from experience.
still want to get your shit off. So guys go and they
you're
cheat.
getting you're getting upset with the experience, but listen, the one who cheated on you was a bad boy. Once again, this is what
No,
we're talking
guys
about.
in
You got with a
general
bad
cheat.
boy.
More than one of my boyfriends have cheated on me, right? It's been, it's if you just look at my relationship history, it shows that guys cheat. It's not like, oh, women were
You
like,
have
oh my
not
God, I just
dated.
want to be touched. First off, women
You
don't even
have
like
not
sex the way
dated
men like sex.
anybody
Women are not
who
turned on by seeing a dick. Show me one woman who tells you that by seeing a man naked, they're turned on, and I'll show you a liar. There's no way. There's just no way. Women are turned on in a different way than men are. Women are
you're
not like,
turned
oh my
on.
God, I need to have sex with so many different partners. Women are looking for that connection.
All right, you said a lot. You said a lot. And let's break it down. You're right. Men are attracted to looks, whereas women are attracted to what?
They
Their
want that connection.
personality. No, it's more of the personality. When you talk to the
Okay,
person right off the
personality.
bat, it's the personality. Is this person funny? Is this person, can he command a room? Is this
Mm-hmm.
person got confidence in himself? You know, is this guy gonna say it like it is and mean it? Right? Is he
Right.
congruent with the persona that he's portraying? Right? All that stuff I mentioned is really the categorization of a bad boy. A bad boy is a guy who, you're like, oh, you're such an asshole. Why? Because he says what's on his mind. He doesn't hold back, right? He says it like it is, right? He could go and he'd be funny. He commands a room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all the guys you dated. And there's only one guy that I know that you dated that wasn't the bad boy, and you don't like that guy. You never liked him.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stand the guy.
Okay, wait. I understand to me now. All right.
Because you want to put in an example. I'm like, but let's analyze. Let's analyze the guys you go for because all right, you may not say when somebody says, "Oh, the bad guy," you're thinking, "Oh, street dog or whatever." You had the
Yeah,
street dog, yes, but you
yeah.
also had the guys who were the papi chulo. You had the guys who were just straight. They could spit with their tongue. Why? Because they had the confidence. And when they have the confidence, right? No shit, they're gonna cheat on you because women are throwing their attention at them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you could analyze it and you could say all this. No, but when you look at the reality of your relationships, the one guy that you thought was beneath you was the guy you couldn't stand being with.
Mm-hmm. El jefe.
El jefe.
El
Exactly.
guapo.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Fuzz.
But no,
Hey,
I
papi
think
chulo.
ultimately, right. So if we go back to this conversation about the metaverse, right, and what you're gonna attract somebody who's similar to you. And just because a guy goes on there and you're saying, oh, like he's, fat guy, Chad, little avatar, whatever, like he might find another male who has similar, things that he likes, but he might find another female.
Do you really play when you play a video game, do you really pick a character that's similar to you? I don't. When I pick the video games, I'm playing the guy that looks dope, and maybe I'll give him my face. But the dude got a body like a freaking WWE fighter. So like, you keep
No,
thinking
I
that.
would definitely I choose characters, based on things that I like, not really like based on a reflection of me.
So what you're making it seem like people who are gonna jump into the metaverse are gonna be like The Sims in
Hmm.
3D, and they're gonna jump in and they're just gonna remake their lives. No, people are gonna want to live a fantasy when they jump in this metaverse, right? When I jump in the metaverse, my guy's gonna look like he's straight out of WWE, and I'm probably gonna load up a castle because I like medieval stuff, right? So I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
look in, I'm gonna roll up, I'm gonna have two dual swords, right? I'm gonna be badass. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I just fought this dragon. And then I'm gonna go what to the local bar in the tavern in the castle, right? And I'm gonna find me a wrench, right? And I'll be like,
Mhm.
where's the ladies at, right? And then there's gonna be these women, right? Maybe they're NPCs. So I'm like, no, I don't want an NPC. The NPC is gonna say stupid shit. So then it loads up, a player. All right, player's loading up, and I'm like, oh, cool. And the next thing you know, I'm talking, and I'm like, man, she's really low down, low key. She's a
Mhm.
dude. And I know this is true because I've read articles where people are getting catfished in video games. And it's rare that you actually see like a gamer chick. Like it's really like they see the avatar, they fell in love with the avatar, they start
Mhm.
talking to her, right? The avatar saying everything that's great, stroking my ego, making me feel great. And then it turns out it was a dude.
But I think that's already happening in real life. And I
It
think that's
is.
the
It's
reason
happening
why
in
there's
video
so
games
many
right
people
now.
are, we're seeing so many same-sex
It's happening
couples
in MMOs.
because that's what people are looking for. They're looking to connect on a different level,
Do
and they're
you
having a
think
hard
do
time
you
doing that
think
with just because somebody
all right,
looks right to me doesn't mean that they're going to have like
so
the personality I'm going to be able to connect with.
So you're saying, all right. So you mentioned same sex couples, and I do have a theory about this. I do feel like there's a lot more men who may be bisexual who are
Hmm.
turning into they're moving more, they're migrating more to the gay lifestyle
Hmm.
because it is difficult to deal with women.
Hmm.
I feel like they would prefer to
But
be with a woman.
you could say that either way because a lot of women, I for me, most of the same sex couples I see are women. Most of the same sex marriages I see are women.
I would agree with you, but I've also noticed that most of the women, like there's somebody I know, I'm gonna be very vague because I don't want to put them out there like that.
Hmm.
But um, she became like she was always, from what I know, she was always bisexual,
Hmm.
and she moved further to being a lesbian when she got older.
Hmm.
And I think that's because her selection in men dried up,
Right.
and because
I
she
agree
didn't
with
want to be
that. I
alone,
completely agree with
because
that.
she didn't want to be alone. That's when she was like, "All right, I'm gonna embrace being with a woman." Because I'd rather be with a woman, another
Hmm.
woman, than
Then
being
be alone.
alone.
Right.
Right. So I do see that where there's a lot older women who are now coming out as being lesbian because their
They're just looking for
options
that
in
life
the
partner.
men, right. But what I do see, what I feel like what's happening in the gay community is like, once again, I say that there's men who are bisexual and they're young men who they're horny, but there's no really options for them.
Hmm.
So listen, you want to argue with me all the time, but I tell you, I study all this stuff. I really will be Grand Theft Auto with rapping. Yeah, exactly. I think that's what the metaverse is gonna be. I think
Hmm.
it's not gonna be like how Lynn wants to, and Lynn, that's okay because the metaverse you can play it any way you want to play it. If you want to go play, listen, I get why Lynn is saying that because Lynn likes to be creative. She loves her home. She loves doing home repair stuff. So Lynn's gonna go into the metaverse and she's gonna load up her ideal apartment and she's probably gonna make her own character, and she's gonna be all arts and craft, and it's gonna be like you. It's for you. It's gonna be like The Sims, right?
Hmm.
But whereas with me, I'm more into like the adventure, the story of life, right? So if I'm loading up into the metaverse, I'm gonna want the excitement of it, right? Oh, let me
Hmm.
go fight this dragon. Oh, let me go to the castle. And then there's just listen. I really do feel like the metaverse is just gonna be depravity, 2.0. What we seeing here nowadays, at this age, I feel like people are just gonna go in and they're just gonna be the metaverse is gonna be really raunchy.
Right. It
It's gonna be
definitely
bad.
is.
It's gonna be bad.
It definitely is because the people who are actually going to be going to the metaverse, let's be honest, are people who are in these like first world countries, like these countries where, you know, they have time and energy and resources to be in the metaverse, versus countries that are still, you know, hardworking. They're still, you know, they still have values. They still have, you know, the nuclear family. Like that's not who's going to be attracted to the metaverse,
No,
at
I
least at the
I
beginning.
honestly I honestly think the metaverse is gonna attract everyone because it's gonna be like there's gonna be rooms and there's gonna be rooms and places you can go to just let out your darkest fantasies.
Hmm.
There's gonna be CEOs tapping into the metaverse because they have a mommy fantasy
Hmm.
and they want to be babied by some stranger in the metaverse, right? There's a show on Amazon that just started its season 3. It's called The Boys, right? And the
Hmm.
opening episode, I don't know if you heard of the show, but the show is about superheroes, but it shows them in a more realistic way. So like
Okay.
these superheroes are a bunch of assholes, right? And so there's a party, and there's drugs, lots of drugs in this party. And there's this one superhero. It's their version of Ant Man, right? I think
Hmm.
his name in the movie is called Termite or whatever. And he can he can make himself big, he can make himself tiny. And there's a scene where he goes he's gay, by the way, and he's gonna hook up with this guy at the party. They go to the room by themselves, right? And the
Hmm.
one guy, the normal guy, he's like, I want you inside of me. So then the Ant Man guy, right, the termite dude, he makes himself really small and he goes into the guy's pee hole.
Holy shit.
And inside of his pee hole, as a really small, like little superhero, he goes in and he's just like touching everything, and he's like making this guy like, oh my god, oh my god. That's the shit you're gonna see in the fucking metaverse. That's what I'm talking about. That depravity, that whole just like people wanting to do just the most raunchiest, craziest things that they can't do in society.
Hmm.
That's what it's gonna be. And like if we're talking about us as a
So what you're
society being
telling
over
me,
sexualized,
so
that's what the metaverse is gonna be.
what I'm hearing is that it's going to be a bunch of guys doing whatever the hell they want, living out all their wildest fantasies in the metaverse.
For the first part, yeah, granted, yeah, I guarantee it. Because you know who's living out their fantasies now? Women are. Women right now are living their fantasies in this day and age. So, and you know this. Like if you went to a high scale bar or restaurant right now, Lynn,
Hmm.
and you went there by yourself, chances are you're gonna get picked up by a wealthy dude, right? An older
Hmm.
wealthy dude, and you're gonna be treated like a queen,
Right.
right? And then he's good. And then stay now. Look, her brain's thinking like, maybe I should do this because you know the spots in Miami.
Hmm.
Like, listen, you're gonna be treated like a queen. He's gonna take you on his boat. He's gonna take you on his yacht. These are what women are living. This is the lifestyle women, young, attractive women are living these days.
Hmm.
Men are not. Men do not have that option. So yes,
Right.
you're right.
That
When the
is true.
metaverse
That
comes
is true.
around,
I'll give you that. That is true.
but I will
Because
agree with you.
there's
When the
still an
metaverse
expectation. There's still an expectation that the guy is going to be the gentleman. He's going to cover, you know, this. He's going to provide the adventure.
Right. And so then you got these lonely men these days, right, who are not living this lifestyle. And when the metaverse pops up, yes, they are going to go and they're going to look to be deprived. Yes.
Hmm.
They're going to look to fulfill and give themselves what society and what they're not getting in their day to day lives. Yes, you're 100% right. The first wave is going to be lonely men because they can go into this metaverse and they can look like Chad. They can go, have orgies. They can go have threesomes. They can do whatever the craziest, what their imagination, whatever they wanted to do.
Hmm.
Then I will solely, and then I will, I would venture a guess that eventually you'll also start seeing just good looking men tapping into the metaverse
Hmm.
because you hear the stories all the time of an actor or uh, an athlete who who's notoriously known for being a playboy, right?
Hmm.
Who are just constantly just like fans, women, just groupies, just throwing themselves at them. And then what they eventually go to, they're like, sex is so boring to me that I'm now having sex with men because I'm looking for excitement.
Mm-hmm.
So I could guarantee that you will have the guys who who can get laid and can get that lifestyle in the real world tapping into the metaverse too,
Mm.
because the real world gets boring after a
Right.
while.
I think maybe that's where we are now. Maybe that's why we've become so, as a society, so hypersexualized is because, maybe we've become bored of
We
what
are, and it's
we're trying
weird
to do
because like
here.
people are just going through the process.
Which is
It's like
crazy.
it's
Yes,
so
and I
weird that I
realize that. And like the term like pastime, like, oh, how are you, I'm just passing time. Like what does that even mean? Like how are you just passing time? Why are you looking for a distraction to help the time
right.
go by? Like
And
you're missing something. You're missing
the
something
crazy
big.
part is people who are obsessed with their notch count, right? How many people
Mhm.
they slept with? Like people are obsessed with getting that number up, and I'm like, do you know how disconnected you are for both men and women when you get that number so high up? It's like at
Right.
that point, something that's supposed to be intimate and yeah, it's supposed to be intimate. It's just an act at that point.
Hmm.
It's no different than you going to get your haircut at that point. My prediction are homeless people giving away their lives to live in the metaverse. Oh, that's scary.
Mm.
Can you imagine if you're like somebody who's not of means and you wanna continue like let's say you're in the metaverse and you lose your access to the metaverse and now you gotta come back into regular world
Hmm.
and now you're shoveling shit every single day in your real life, right? Can you imagine the things people will do in real life just so they can get back into the metaverse?
Hmm.
Now you talking about like people selling their organs and shit. Like, hey,
Yeah.
take a kidney and so I can buy more time to go back into the metaverse. I mean, we see it with this whole bad baby article, right?
Hmm.
She's not real. That's not a real. You know, these people who are paying for access to her, they're not getting the real her,
Hmm.
right? They're getting access to this avatar of her, right? So if you think about it, yeah, there's gonna be people that are gonna do some scary shit to get into the metaverse.
What's
It's
crazy is
crazy.
if you look at a lot of like the female artists, like that not Bad Bunny, Cardi B and the mainstream ones, Beyonce, Cardi, um Megan Thee Stallion, like they say all these things in their music and their lyrics are portraying this one world. But if you look at their real life, like they're in relationships, their parents, they're living a completely different life than what the
I'm glad you
influence
said that.
that they're putting on
I'm glad you
society.
said that. Let's break that down though. Why are they living that ideal life? Do you really think that Beyonce is living with Jay Z and she's looking at him and be like, "You ain't shit. I'm waiting for the next guy to come along. I'm only
Right.
staying with you until I get my next one."
Another
No,
one, Doja Cat.
they've reached the pinnacle of male selection for them,
Hmm.
right? And mind you, all these guys, once again, they were all thugs, right? They were all they were all the assholes, right? They're still the assholes, right? They
Hmm.
had to just pivot from being an asshole on the street to an asshole in corporate America. I get it, but you don't think Jay Z is a fucking dick? He's an asshole. If he's not getting
Hmm.
what he wants, Jay Z's gonna, he's been doing that all his life. Now, yeah, Beyonce got Jay Z. I don't think she's gonna leave because she's gonna be like, who's next?
Right.
Who's better than Jay Z? So
Where
maybe
do you
that,
go from here?
and that goes back to the argument I was saying. Whereas women are constantly looking for the next, and until they get their top dog, I mean, look at Jay Z. Jay Z cheated on Beyonce, and
Yeah.
she's still they're still playing the image, right?
Hmm.
Oh, take care of the family. Oh, ideal. I mean, the only thing that could kind of break that narrative is 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 Kim Kardashian.
Because the whole divorce and everything.
Yeah, because she ended up with Kanye, and you know what? She thinks she could do better than Kanye. But then
Hmm.
again, in her relationship and in her life, right? She had Ray J at one point, so she had an artist. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe she's looking for now. She's trying to move up to an actor or something. I don't know. It seems weird, but for the most part, like you mentioned, most of these women they hustle and they get the guy who's on the top of the game. It's like when you hear about nurses. A lot of nurses they get into nursing, they see how much it sucks, they hate it, and then what do? They're fighting for a doctor. They're trying to get a doctor.
Hmm.
That's why articles will come out, and you could look this up right now, Lynn. There's articles where they say professional women can't find men who make as much money as they do.
Hmm. I have heard that.
Right. Because once again, they've pushed themselves out of the dating pool and they've made it some they made themselves unhappy with the selection that they have.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be about the money, it just should be about the person and if the person compliments you, right?
Hmm.
But unfortunately, women do think like that. They're like, no, you're beneath me because you don't make as much as I do.
Hmm.
So again, then guess what? What do they put themselves? They put themselves in a selection in a pool where they're trying to date these guys who make more than them. And when the guy can make as much as they want, right? The guy makes so much more than she does. What is he going to date? He can date whatever he wants.
Right.
Money talks, right? So yes, they're not going to find an option because he wants that young 21-year-old girl, right? Who looks banging. He doesn't want a 34-year-old woman who's
Hmm.
competitive, who's going to compete with him.
It's so funny to hear like I can tell you're drinking water right now.
Oh, because you can hear it.
Yeah, but like I can't see it. It's so weird not
Yeah.
being able to see you.
Was it funny? Was the little circle? Was it making the like when you hear the water sounds? Was it
Yeah,
like
you know.
that's hilarious. Oh man, we've been talking for an hour and a half. That's good. I don't even know what the show was about. We went all over the place.
Yeah. I think
Mm.
my main takeaways from this show is that you
You
feel
need to hit a
women,
bar
you
in New York
feel
City.
women, you feel women have shitty personalities, and I
Oh,
feel
they
all
do.
men cheat.
Women do have shitty personalities. And you
And
say
yes,
you And you know what's sad? You say that all men cheat, but there are men who are looking for like they're once again men are being fed this like whole Cinderella, um, this whole like Disney narrative, right? Where they got to be a gentleman and they got to have values and they got to pay for dinner and open doors and all this shit, right?
hmm
So men are being fed this. So you know that there are men who will be faithful because there's a narrative that is being pushed towards men where they but once again, let me get to my point where they're being raised to be, faithful and monogamous and all this stuff, right? Because that's the duty, that's the honor. They're a white knight, right?
right.
However, you will never date that guy.
It's not
That
true.
guy will never be. That guy will never be an option for you because I can tell you right off the bat that guy's a cornball. And
Hmm.
you look at that guy and there's no attraction there. And so you wonder why the guys all men cheat and yet you want the guy who's going to be faithful, who's going to treat you right, and all this, and you'll never look at that guy. He's not part of your selection. And I guarantee it because you've walked past that guy numerous times everywhere you go. And you don't even see that guy as an option. You don't even see him as a person. You just walk right by him. You may say, hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? But that's it. That's it. Because I guarantee that guy will not approach you
Hmm.
because he doesn't wanna bother you, right? So he's not gonna be the one who goes like, oh my, you look good. Yeah, let
Hmm.
me holler at you. Let me talk to you. The guy who does that, yeah, that's the guy who's gonna cheat. Because how many women is he doing that with?
Right.
You feel special because he's like, yo, ma, let me holler at you. You look good. But he's standing in that corner and he's been hollering at the last 10 shorties and hoping three of them give him an option.
No, actually,
So
fellas, for the fellas who are watching this, that is really obnoxious, and most women do not like being approached that way.
yeah, you're part of the seven, but there's three that will give him the time of day.
That's true. That's true. And if that's all he's looking for, if he's not really looking for that deeper connection, then there you go. He's getting exactly what he's looking for.
So once again, you want to say that women don't attitudes don't suck and women show, then tell me where does a decent guy like the guy you say the guy who doesn't cheat because
Mm-hmm.
you're like oh that guy doesn't exist and they exist. Where should he find a woman who doesn't have a sucky attitude?
Shit, take an art class.
Taking art class?
Take an art
No,
class.
they're the worst. Artists are the worst. Artists are the worst because they're so like free spirited and they're just like, oh yeah. You never seen those like artsy hippie communities?
I have.
Everybody's hooking up with everybody.
Pretty familiar with that scene. But no, it gets crazy. It gets crazy. You see some odd shit at those events.
So where I mean I'm serious, like where does the good guy who is, was raised by Disney to believe women are sugar and spice and everything nice, who's
Mm-hmm.
believed to stand for her honor, a Will Smith chump. Let's call it what it is. The Will Smith chump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where does he find? Where does he go to not find a Jada? Because I feel like all women are like Jada. That's a good analogy. I feel like most men are like Will Smith. They're a chump, right? And you think most men are like Tupac, and guess who Jada was still longing for? To this day, she's still longing for Tupac. That's hilarious. That's a perfect example.
Excuse me. I think that's an awful example.
No, that's a perfect
I do not
example.
think Jada is a fair assessment of like, oh, what women are. That's not cool.
No,
Don't
that
compare me
is
to her.
most women are Jadas. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but look, most women are Jadas.
So where do you find these elusive right people? I don't know, man. I guess if I
It's
knew,
not
I
in the
knew
dating
right
scene.
now, you know?
It's not in the dating scene. You can't go
It's
on
definitely
Tinder
not in
and
the dating
Bumble and
scene.
all that and Hinge.
I definitely feel like shit, I don't know. I don't know because I've been on Tinder. You know,
Yes, and I guarantee the
I
Will Smith dude. I guarantee the Will Smith dude. And I'm not talking about Will Smith. Okay, Will Smith is the perfect package because uh he looks good, right? He's
right.
in
He has
shape. He looks
looks
good.
and the
So if he
and the
puts himself on, he has the
that
looks. If he puts
money.
himself on Tinder, he's gonna get swiped on. Plus,
Right.
he's famous, right? He has the image and all that. But I'm saying Will Smith and the fact of his mentality and the way he was raised, right?
Right.
Will Smith, he literally went up and smacked Chris Rock for a corny ass joke because he felt like he had to defend his woman's honor.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the mentality I'm talking about. That Will Smith mentality. I guarantee that those guys were on Tinder, they were presented to you, and you swiped to the next guy. You're like, nope, 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 no. Oh, this guy looks good, and then he cheated on
No, I
you.
don't know. I don't know. I really can't talk for like women in general because I know I'm not the typical woman. I know I don't look for the same thing that other women look for. So it's really hard for me to be like, oh, well, women this. Like, I can't
Oh,
only
that's where
women
that's,
because
and I
I
get
have
it.
seen
And there's
women do some stupid
outliers.
shit.
Yes, and listen, we could talk about the outliers all day, and this is what I don't like when people try to have a discussion, and
Mm-hmm.
there's two narratives or there's two sides, and it turns into a debate. People try to win the debate by throwing out outliers,
Mm-hmm.
like the once, like with the whole thing with like the whole narrative of abortion. Oh, what about if she was raped? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, how many of those abortions are, how many abortions are due to rape? And it's like, oh, 2%.
Mm-hmm.
So the other 98%, it was by choice. And we don't
Right.
want to talk about that, right? That's the same thing that we're talking about now. It's like, I love it because it's like you'll throw out the outliers instead of throwing out, like, hey, let's look at the average.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the average of most women doing? They're swiping like, oh, the guy has a really nice car. He looks good. Ooh,
Mhm.
I'll swipe yes on him. And you know how many
That's
women swipe
funny.
yes on
That's
him?
hilarious that you said that. So that is something I look for. Like if I'm on a dating site, I'm definitely looking in the background. I'm seeing like where they are. Like, are they at a restaurant? Are they
Yes.
like,
Look
like are
it.
they in an
Look, don't you
apartment that has
know?
like one piece of furniture?
Yes,
Like I'm
when
definitely
I
looking at the
know,
background.
yes, yes. And why do you think I know this? Because I know this because I'm in men's group where men are talking about back and forth. Yo, how do I win in the dating of Tinder? So
Mhm.
these guys, they're talking about getting professional shots taken. They're talking about renting the right car. They're
Mhm.
talking about like they all have the same candid like like things that they say in the discussion,
Yeah.
right? That they're going back and forth like, hey, this worked for me. Hey, everybody, use it. So five other guys are using the same messaging and the same thing. And you could call it manipulation tactics all you want, but it's just that's their way of getting the edge in this whole corrupted dating scene.
Mhm.
So
And I mean,
yes, I know
it
what's
also
gonna make
comes
you.
down to what your like goal is. What's your objective being on there? Like, is the guy looking to just get laid and he's looking for tips, or is he like, genuinely trying to find somebody to connect with?
Well, I'll tell you what. With most men having a low notch count, I guarantee they're looking for a connection.
Hmm.
But once they start putting in the work and they start seeing that they start doing the Tinder hacks, right? To get themselves their dates.
Uh
And then
huh.
they're like, oh shit, I got this shorty came over and we
Hmm.
hooked up and it was dope as fuck. Guess what they're gonna do again? They're gonna keep doing that, right? Because they're the kid in the candy store. And now they're just wanting all the candies. They want the Tootsie Rolls, they want the Skittles, they want the Starburst. And
Right.
before you know it, what they were, their good intentions were, where they were, looking for a connection. That's thrown out the window because now they're a kid in the candy shop and they're being glutton, right? They're just eating everything that's there. Whereas by nature, women have this from like the day they start getting boobs. The day they start getting boobs, they're getting attention by men, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And now they've been eating in the candy store since like 13.
Right.
So it's it goes back to the question that I pose. As a society, are we over sexualized? And the answer is alarmingly yes. So how
Yeah.
do we get away from that? How do we get away from that? Because how do we get to the guy who just wants to, be a dad and have a family, and he wants that, and he doesn't want the notch count. He wants to have that family. Where does he find that girl? And how does he keep that girl when when you hear stories like OnlyFans, $50 million, and she gets this like weird thing in her head that she could do that,
Hmm.
not knowing that that's an outlier. Like you said, most of your friends feel like they settled.
Friends did settle because so for our generation we it's like completely opposite. Our generation, it's like, oh, you start dating somebody, like once you're intimate with that person you feel stuck. You feel like, oh, like if I leave this person I'm going to add to my notch count, and then you accept things that you shouldn't have accepted from the beginning. I think where we really are as a society is where we're hurting on the inside, like we're not loving
I
ourselves. We're not learning
yes,
the things we need
yes.
to learn
I
to
100% agree.
sustain ourselves. Like, like we're not going to find that perfect mate if we're broken on the inside, if we don't love
I
ourselves
100%
already.
agree, Lynn. And I would take it to one step further. I would say that if let's say we all woke up and we all immensely had this self love, all right? Let's say there was something that just went off in the world, and we all of a sudden we all have this immense self confidence, self, high self esteem, and we just end up waking up and we all just totally just love ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Within a day, OnlyFans would be dead.
Mm.
Within a day, the simps would all cancel their subscriptions and they would go out and they'd be like, look, I found this newfound confidence and I'm going to go live my life.
Yeah.
And within a day, OnlyFans would be dead. You would start seeing, like, within a week, the dating scene would be changed because women who were looking for that free dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Men wouldn't be going for it. Women would be like, more men would have a better filter when it comes to dating modern women, right? And I think I think the couples, the people who are in relationships, I want to say that a lot of people will end up breaking up because, like you said, a lot of your friends feel like they settled.
Yeah. And honestly, like people change over the years, you know? So if you start a relationship, say like in your early 20s, by the time you're in your 30s, you're a completely different person. You know, now you're looking at this person and maybe they're a different person. Maybe they haven't
But
changed
you
and
know,
they're
but you
supposed to.
know, you know what's sad is that most of your friends feel like they settled. So this is women who feel like they settled.
Mhm.
Most of them are in a
You know, all right,
marriage and they
hang
have
on, hang on. So
kids.
that was outside looking in. I feel like a lot of my friends have settled. That's just a personal
Okay.
opinion.
Do you feel like they feel that way?
Mm, some of them notice. Some of them
Okay.
I'm just like,
And
whew,
most
the
of
day
most of
you
them are in
realize
relationships.
I'll be there for you.
Well, most of them are in a relationship, right?
Hmm.
And there's kids involved, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
All my
fast
friends are
forward.
moms.
All right. So fast forward. What's gonna happen is, like you said, the day that they realize what's gonna happen, they're gonna get the sense of, oh, I feel like I settled, and guess what? They just broke the family.
Hmm.
Now kids are a two family home. You know, they're another divorce stat,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
Battling in
messed up.
court.
And it's messed up because like at the end of the day, like the real issue is like they should have had children with this person because that wasn't the right person for them. Ultimately, that's what
Is
it
it
is.
that? Is
But
it that,
it
or
is
do we
that.
have
It
such a
is
high
that.
standard,
No, it
or
is
is it
that.
could it be
It
that we
is
have
like,
such a high
hey,
standard?
like I mean, everyone I know has like, uh-oh babies. Nobody was like, oh my God, let's get married and start having kids. No. All my
All
friends,
right, so
I have one who got married and then had kids. But
okay,
most of my
so
friends, like they had kids first. And then like you have a kid and now you're like, shit, now I have to raise this kid with this individual that you had no business having a kid with.
hmm.
So that's not fair. That's not fair to be like, oh well, women are gonna break up the family. No, it's like maybe that man shouldn't have like planted their seeds somewhere that they weren't willing to, you know, nurture and grow.
Don't do that either. Don't do that either. Don't have responsibility held on men and not put it on the woman either.
No, I feel like the responsibility is
Especially when
all
you have
on
the
women
argument on
right
the
now. Right
no, no,
now,
no,
the
no,
responsibility is 100%
because once
on women.
no, it's not. And once again, like you're like, oh, why didn't that man strapped up? Why didn't that man? Uh, so let's take it a few steps back because you were like, why didn't that man strap up? Why didn't that? So you're putting the responsibility on the man again. But once again, abortion is still legal.
Okay.
She could have not had that. She chose to have that child. So let's not do that in a
Well, that's
discussion
all right.
and
So that's not what I'm
in
trying to
a
focus on,
debate.
though. I'm trying to not trying to focus on like it was the man's fault for having a kid with her. No, what I'm trying to focus on is that it's two individuals who they didn't really have that foundation to have a long term like let's they didn't have that
Right.
conversation of
That's
like
yeah.
let's
Let's bring
build.
it back to that. Right. Let's make the responsibilities on both parties. Let's
Right.
put it
So
on that.
if the woman chooses to leave, it's not like oh she broke up that family. Like that's not fair to say. Because it takes
But
two
I
to
think
tangle
I get that.
and it takes two to keep a relationship going.
I get that. And look, most of these couples are together and they're
Mhm.
happy and they're together. But once again, I believe it's society. Like you're looking at them and you're like, damn, girl, you could do better. Why do we keep programming that into to our women? Instead of saying like, look, you're
Because
a mom now. He's good because he stood by with you all these years. You could do better, but you're breaking your home. Just accept with what you got. It's okay to be average.
but I think that's where a lot of women are right now. That they're accepting whatever like these men are throwing at them simply because oh my god, we have children. And that's not fair either.
So I think what you're arguing, and I keep saying that women have shitty uh, personas and a shitty look at life. I
Mhm.
think that's what you have, Lynn. And I don't mean to say that in a very offensive way, but once
Mhm.
again, you're looking at your friends and they're happy. They're happy in your marriage. They're happy with their kids. And you're like, damn, girl, if you ever wake up and realize you could do better, I'll be there for you. So you see
Well,
them,
yes,
instead
and
of you
I'll give
being
you
happy for
specific
them,
examples. I'll give you specific examples. Like I
you
have
want
a
them to leave
girlfriend
and break their home.
I have a girlfriend who's been in a relationship with her man for let me see, their oldest is 7. So they've been together for I think 9 years.
Okay.
And like he doesn't contribute financially to their household.
Right.
He doesn't, breathe like love into her. He makes her feel like shit. He makes her feel like she's like not even existent. So like why should she do this when she's putting all her love and energy into her children? She does not need the added stress of a man. It
But
sucks.
yes, but once again, what you're talking about, and you're going back to what is destroying America and pretty much destroying this modern day culture. She's doing it because she knows it's what's best for her kids to have a mom and dad. So maybe the father, maybe the dad is not, maybe he's a piece of shit to her, but
Mm-hmm.
not to the kids. Like, does he have bonding time with the kids? Is he a good dad at least?
Define good dad.
And then once again, you are touting the narrative, and this is what I want to bring into light. You're touting the narrative, like, girl, if you're not happy, you need to go. So once
Mhm.
again, you're stressing the individual versus the family. And it's
Mhm.
like, no, you put up with
I
it.
think I think that it ultimately comes down to who you're, jumping into a relationship with. It comes down to before having the
No,
kid.
because what you got to understand, Lynn, is that not all marriages are roses. And
Hmm.
I hate that they think that people really like the excuses that I hear over and over again why a marriage falls apart is because I wasn't happy. It's like, I hate to say it, but shit, you need to make yourself happy. Like if you get into a marriage, it's because you're trying to build something. Like the
Hmm.
whole concept of marriage was to one, continue your legacy, and two, to build a kingdom to live to your next generation.
Hmm.
And yo, you got to realize that if you're getting into a marriage, there's a reason why the vows are for better or for worse. Like a lot of people think like marriages is supposed to just be better, like better, better, better. Oh, good, happy, happy, happy. No, there's gonna be shitty times in a marriage, and when it gets hot, when it gets shitty, you don't just walk away.
Okay, so what about another girlfriend I have who's been in a relationship, I think same thing, like 7 or 8 years. They're raising 3 children. One was from a previous relationship for her. And then well no, 4 I guess, cuz he also had a child from a previous relationship, but she's older now. I think she's like 17. She lives with her mom, so she's not really one of the children in the household. But like they've been together for this long, and my girlfriend tells me that she feels like she doesn't know where she belongs because like he won't marry her.
Mm.
So like, and that's another one where she is basically like the head of the household, and why does she have to like feel like she's stuck with this man when he's not giving her what she's asking for?
Well, then you gotta once again you gotta ask the question: why do they stay? Is it for the kids? Is it for the household that they developed that they decided to present to their kids and they don't want to break that household up? Then I
Hmm.
commend them for that. Because you know what? You're sucking up and you're forfeiting your value, not your values, but your entitlement, right? You're
Hmm.
you're sacrifice you're sacrificing your putting yourself first as opposed to putting the kids first. And that's where a lot of modern day women they feel like, oh, I don't like marriages because they keep telling me, oh, I gotta put my man first, and fuck that, I'm not gonna put a man first.
Right, but when is the man
But
gonna
then
do
in
the
the real,
same? That's the thing. Like it's not like these women are in these relationship and the men are trying. The men are clearly telling them they don't give a fuck.
yes, and what you're understanding, what you're not realizing, and I keep going over and over about it, it's not about the man and the woman at this point. At this point, if the woman feels like the man doesn't care about her, she needs to go out and do what she needs to do to make herself happy. But once again, she can't leave the household because it's about what you presented into that household, which is kids. So maybe that's why a lot of these women are sticking around, and you're like, yo, you gotta go, you gotta go. But then you gotta realize too, you're a single mom, and they're
Hmm.
not gonna listen to you because their kids need a mom and a dad.
Well, I'm all right. So let me clarify something real quick. Like I've never told my girlfriends like, "Oh, you're better without that man." I have never done that. It is not my position to do that. But
Correct. But
But
if they ever came up to you and was like, I'm thinking about leaving, you're going to tell him,
mhm,
go, girl, leave.
not true. Not true, because I
Okay.
had a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend, and we're not gonna name her, but you know who I'm talking about, who decided to not be friends with me anymore. When she came to me at her point of like, hey, I think I want to do this on my own, I told her, I was like, being a single mom sucks. I told her
Oh,
straight
okay.
up. I was like,
All
being
right.
a single
As
mom
long as you're
sucks.
willing to do
I
that.
was like, but I did tell her also, I was like, but you can do it.
Right.
But ultimately it's her decision. And that's
It
why I tell
sucks.
all my friends, like, ultimately, I can't tell
So,
you what to do. It's your life to live.
right.
It's your choices you have to make. And I always tell them that
Right.
I'm going to support them in either decision that they do make.
So when what the time for them to go, the time for them to leave was when they or before they even had the baby.
Right.
If you really wanted to be an individual and be about yourself, and you feel you could do better, then your time to leave was before you got knocked up, or even when you got knocked up, because you know what, the option to abort is still there, and you could abort and you could have rolled away because you could have been like, I could do better with my life.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you bring this child into this world and you bring this child with two parents and you're in this household, at that point, your life doesn't matter anymore until your child is 18 years old. And I see it time and time again, and I see it in movies and TVs where they keep promoting the women's identity, and the woman's like, I don't want to be known as a mom, and I don't want to be known as raising just kids. I need to find who I am. And they break everything to chase after this. There's a show I was watching. It's called Heels, and it's about wrestling, right? Because I'm getting back into wrestling with the kids, and
Mm-hmm.
it's on. I don't know if it's on Showtime or Epic, but it's called Heels, and it's like a drama show about this local wrestling thing. And the mother on there, like, she gets on my nerves so much because she's like, I don't want to be just known about my kid, and she's raising a good kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I want to be about something else, and she chooses to like cut time away from her kid so she could just go work in a supermarket because
Mm-hmm.
she wants to feel like she's a working woman. And I'm like, do you know how, from the outside looking in, how disgusting that sounds? But once again, society's been programming into women that they got to be about their identity and being about happy and being who they are as an individual. And yet, men, right? You talk about these good men because once again, the women who stay are the guys who are assholes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the good men, they'll go and sacrifice everything. They'll put everything on the line for their family and the relationship. And what happens? The woman gets tired, and she's like, "I'm out. This is boring." So maybe the reason why they stay is because it's not boring for them. You ever
Mm-hmm.
think like that? Like the guy keeps it fresh. Or maybe it's one of those sunk cost scenarios where they're like, man, I put so much time. At some point, this guy, he's gonna see me. At some point, he has to love me. But it's like, look, if you're in this relationship, you're in this scenario. As long as it's not an abusive relationship, of course. If it's abusive, get the fuck out of there, right? I would never condone a woman, and you've heard of it, where a woman stays in an abusive relationship because for the kids. At that
Mm-hmm.
point, no. If it's abusive, get out. But if it's just something where the guy's not showing you attention and you're not being fulfilled in that relationship, you got into that relationship, you need to at least stay for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to you as the individual to make yourself happy.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Like, you can't expect a marriage to last if everyone's like, oh my god, as soon as like things get hard or things
Mm-hmm.
get boring,
Right,
like you're willing to
right.
leave it. I do
And I
also feel
commend
that,
you.
like, staying together because of a child isn't always the best solution. That's not always the best
Well, then that's the reason why we keep.
outcome
Well, then that's why we have broken families, and that's why we keep raising broken people.
either. Hmm.
At some point, we do have to say yes, that's the option, or don't bring a child into this world.
Hmm.
I mean, and I commend you. I commend you, Lynn, for being the friend if who says, look, being a single mom sucks. Like, we got to acknowledge that too.
Yeah.
Being a single parent sucks. You should be doing this with two. If it takes two to tangle, then it should be two to make the choice of, like, we should bring this child into the world, and then it should be two to raise the child.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, women are very selective with certain things. It takes two to tango, but then it's her choice if she wants to have this child, but then gets mad when the guy's a deadbeat.
Hmm.
It's like, which one is it? Is it your choice to have the child? Because I guarantee that if it was a mutual conversation, if these guys are really assholes, they probably was like, I don't want the child.
Hmm.
But I don't know.
Like I don't see anything wrong with being in a relationship that's mundane. I don't see anything wrong with being in a relationship that's just you know, average. I do see an issue with a relationship where, one person is just carrying everything.
A lot of the guys, a lot of the guys I talk to, the number one thing I tell them about relationships is don't be boring. That's what I tell them all the time, and especially with this day and age and how women are. I tell them all the time because I see these guys. They're the good guys that they're working. They think about the girl all the time, and then at some point they move in with the girl and they just get complacent
Mm-hmm.
and they don't understand. It's like, yo, you are still competing with Instagram, social media, the dudes that she's getting hit on. Like a lot of these guys, they don't really visualize that. Like she can walk out the door, go to Starbucks, right? No, she can walk out the door, get in her car, stop at the gas station, go to Starbucks to get her morning coffee, check in the front desk, right? And then go to her desk. And then within the matter of all that stuff that she did, she got hit on like 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
And she may not be interested in those 10 guys. She may be, because the guys will tell me, oh, yeah, well, my girl tells me about that. And she's annoyed by that. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, until she's not.
Right.
And when she's not, chances are is because you got boring. So that's one thing I tell my guys a lot. I'm like, look, just don't be boring. Cyndi Lauper said it. Girls just want to have fun. Make sure you're that fun guy. Especially if she's a working girl, like she has this. I want to be a working girl. And she's out there working. And she's working hard shifts, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't really see her. The day you do see her, make sure you got your shit on lock. You got something planned, and you out there. You're like, yo, we're gonna go do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of like you're not asking her, you're telling her. That way she's like, yo, my boo always got everything planned, and oh my god, he took me there. And then she's bragging all
Yeah.
week long to all her friends and all this stuff.
I've definitely heard that complaint before from girlfriends. Like, oh, my man doesn't plan anything. Like, he never makes
Yep,
any kind of effort.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Working girl, like a girl on the streets working. No, 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 no. That term has been. Oh, Tris, welcome back. We missed you, brother. I thought we pissed you off. Thank you for coming back. No, no, no. It's a working girl, like a 9 to 5 girl, like a career woman. Let's just
Career
say a
woman.
career woman. And
Yeah.
that to me, that's what a working girl is nowadays because women have touted and said repeatedly over and over again they want to be strong and independent, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
fighting to be in the workforce, right? They're fighting for equal pay. They want to be paid, right? All this stuff. So a lot of women are being fed this narrative, and they are out there, working long shifts. And so I've talked to guys who are, they're barely seeing their girl, and when they do, the guy's like, "Oh, I'm being romantic. I told her to just come over to the house, and I cooked for her, and I'm doing this, and I'm like, bro, she's gonna leave you, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna leave you. That's boring." See, Ray, feminism works. I don't know if Tristan trying to be funny or not, but he won't be able to laugh with that one. Oh, Tristan, I missed you, bud. I missed you.
No, but you know what? That is where my mind went to when you said working girl. But I knew what in the context. I knew what you were talking about. But like Trish
Yes,
said,
and
in the 80s, it used to be exclusive of a woman selling her body. Yeah.
yes, and I completely agree that feminism does work. And look, there was first wave feminism, which was like, look, women just want the right to vote. I agree with that. There was second wave feminism where it was like, yo, women should be able to, women want to be treated equal. They want to be in the workforce. I agree with that too. Listen, I don't like these guys that are out here that are treating women like objects, but women do in the
Mm.
dating scene. They love that shit. They love it. And right now we're in like I don't even know what wave of feminism we're in right now. Six wave feminism, but this wave right now is just toxic as all hell. because they already look. You already achieved all equality that you could achieve at this point. What's left is it's a movement of power.
Right.
We should have stopped at wave one. Yes, with and honestly, if you look at wave one with the right to vote and equality, now we're just talking about equality across the board. And I totally agree with Tris saying, hey, look, you know what? We should have, nobody should be judged by their gender, their sex, their gender, their race, their sexual preference, all this stuff that you hear about in the news and all that stuff. Like, it breaks my heart. Nobody should be treated that way.
That's true.
You
You
should
shouldn't
see
be
the
judged
person
by
as an
any of that.
individual. Right.
Right.
You should treat the person as an individual
Hmm.
and hold the person for their qualifications. But now we're
Yeah.
on the point where it's like, um, we need to have the first female black judge. And it's like,
Right.
but what's her
Instead of choosing the
qualifications?
right person for the
Person
job,
for the job.
they're
Yes,
looking for
exactly.
to fill a position based
Right.
on,
And so that's where we are with this whole wave.
you know.
And listen, I let the crazy go crazy because eventually the crazy will eat itself. So now we're in this wave of feminism where it's like a trans woman should have equal rights as a woman, and
Hmm.
she should compete in sports with other women. And then the women are the ones that are talking up, and they're like, no, because you guys, you're a naturally born testosterone producing individual, and you're gonna have an advantage over me. And so you're seeing these protests and you're seeing the arguments, and they're getting to that level where it's like, no, you guys are going crazy with this.
Hmm.
And there's people coming out, they're saying feminism in this day and age is toxic.
Hmm. I think any kind of ism in this day and age is toxic
It's
because
toxic because
we're
it's
putting
taken to the
on
extreme.
blinders. We're putting on
Yes.
blinders and we're treating it like a cult. It goes back to what we were talking about in our
Yes.
last episode. Like,
Exactly.
you can
Exactly.
have your beliefs and your opinions, but when you start feeling like everyone should believe in this and you start feeling like, oh, this is the only way, and you start putting
Mm-hmm.
on those blinders, that's when it becomes a real issue.
Right. It
You
really
have to
is.
keep an open mind. You have to understand that we're not always going to, agree on everything. We're not always going to agree on anything.
And that's the
No.
beauty of it. And I don't want to agree with everybody. I
Hmm.
want I want to have the conversations. I told you, I like debating with people because I like making people think outside of the box.
Hmm.
Plus, I like to hear their narrative and what they're thinking. And maybe there's something they say. Look, there's times where I walked away from the show and there's just something haunting in the back of my head because I didn't think that way.
Hmm.
And now, there was a light bulb that was turned on. And now I start thinking, like, like, I don't mind changing my perspective if I hear a clear, concise argument.
Right.
But once again, when people do debate nowadays, it's very you take the outliers, you take the unicorn scenario, you take
Hmm.
the you don't take the average of the argument, right? You go and it's just difficult to debate with people then nowadays and have the open discourse in the conversation.
They don't even want to hear it. They're just like, no, it's what I said. That's it. Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
yeah, there
so
you
I
go. Tris
learned,
said all isms is toxic,
yes.
and then he said, "Preach, sister."
So I went to like a counseling session once, and the
Okay.
counselor basically told us like there are two kinds of listening. And it kind of like blew my mind. There's two kind of listening. You can listen
Hmm.
to respond, which is what most of us do. That like
Yes.
somebody like they're saying their part, and as soon as you hear something that like triggers you, you jump onto that, and that's it. You're ignoring the rest of what they're
Right. You're
saying
looking for
because you're
keywords.
just waiting to say your point next.
Yep.
And then there's listening to understand.
Yep. And I
And
think
we
that's
as a society don't know how to listen to
yes,
understand.
yes. And I think we need to have. And once again, this goes back to like something we should do in school. We should have more debate programs.
Hmm.
And like we should encourage like school to me back in the day, school used to be somewhere where people would go for ideas, right?
Hmm.
And if you had conflicting ideas, you guys would talk about it, right? Like think about the scholars, like the scholars back in the day that we still use their wisdom, today.
Hmm.
What they weren't liked by everybody. They presented an idea, they stood by their conviction of their idea, and they debated with other scholars. We don't do that this day in this day and age anymore. It's a narrative. It's like, look, it's either this narrative or you're. Then they start with the labels. You're a
Right.
misogynist. You're a racist. You're a sexist.
Just
I
made
made
fun
fun
of
of the debate team. Yeah, yeah. You know what? Me too, Chris. But you know what? Honestly, that's what we need, though. We need to not. We need to have open discussion and talk about, just conflicting. Because my thing is this. My thing is this. It's like these schools. You got all these schools that are touting all the isms, right?
you.
And we'll call it that. We'll call them all the isms. And I'm like, I feel bad. Like I feel bad for that white kid who's being told that they're the root of all problems. But then when they go home, they're living in a poor house.
Mm.
They may
Mm-hmm.
be in a broken home as well, and they're looking at themselves and they're like, "How am I the root of all problems when I live this lifestyle?"
Right.
They say I'm privileged, but where's the privilege at? And then fast forward, you wonder why, that kid is shooting up a school,
Mm-hmm.
right? We gotta have the conversations in schools. We gotta be able to say like, look, it's okay to hate.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for somebody to be racist, right?
And it
Like people
sucks.
say
Like
that,
some of these things are like natural feelings. Like,
right? That's human
hate is
nature,
a thing. It's that balance of love and hate.
right?
It's a true
But
feeling. You cannot discount that.
right, but we should also have the discussion and be able to talk to the person and be able to say like, why do you hate me?
Mm-hmm.
Why? What about me is it that you hate?
Yeah.
And then the person can explain like, oh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, and then me, or let's say if it was me or whatever, yeah, I could rebuttal and be like, all right, well, you know what, I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you guys do this? Why do you do that? And that's how we have discussion. Because I guarantee if you
Or
have that open
even if you
discussion,
take it another step, because you know what? Another person's perspective might
bunch of
make you
nerds.
see yourself differently. It might give you a different perspective. And it could be that constructive criticism that maybe you need. Maybe you didn't
Right,
realize that,
exactly.
you're very
And
stereotypical in this thing that you do.
right, and what you were saying about the two kinds of listening, this day and age, most of the debates and most of the conversations, it's just people are just getting triggered. They're looking for that one word that triggers them.
Yeah.
They just want to get triggered. They want to be in that state of negativity, that state of hate, that state of victimhood, and then they just want to fight. And that's where we are in a society. We're at that point where you'll see it. You'll see the protests, and when you'll see two conflicting sides at the protest, right? Because there'll be a protest for something, then there'll be the counter protest, and there's nobody out there saying, "Hey, we're gonna have open discussion," and let them speak, let us boo boo. No, let them speak, let them speak. And then he's like, "This is the reason why." And then they invite somebody else, and they just have that conversation on an open mic of the two opposing sides, and hopefully you can have a couple of people walking away. At the end of the day, you should have a couple of people walking away saying, man, I can see why they think like that on the other side. And then that's where you kind of move the people into the middle.
Yeah.
Where it's right now, it's very polarizing where
It's
people are
very
on either
black and white
side.
right now. And it
Yes,
sucks because
yes,
in
yes,
reality, life is gray.
yes,
Life is
right.
gray.
And it's like we gotta bring society back to the middle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we can't glorify a bunch of outliers. Going back to OnlyFans and Bad Baby, right? She's an outlier, but then I guarantee the article came out and there's a bunch of women that was like, "Fucking, I'm doing
I'm
OnlyFans."
going back to OnlyFans.
It's like, no, we got to be in the middle. We got to be in the
Mm-hmm.
middle. We got to talk. We got to have those conversations, and I feel like a lot of people shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like that right there is our motivation with this channel. I feel like we debate all the time, but I walk away with one. I walk away feeling good because we did have the conversation. I
Mm-hmm.
stood my ground. I didn't buckle to some of my beliefs, right? But then I do take away with some of the things that are in the comments, the stuff you say, and I try to think, and I'm like, oh, maybe am I being too negative? Maybe
Right.
I'm harping too much. Maybe I shouldn't be like that. And that's all part of being a better person is to listen to other people's plight, right? And be like, all right, let me try to be a better person so I'm not, you know, making that person have a difficult life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy because like these schools, they're pumping, and look, listen, I I feel bad right now. I feel bad for white men. I really do because they're public enemy number one.
Hmm.
This is the message I was looking for. Sometimes it's negative. Yeah, you're right, and I hope that that's why another reason why I keep touting. I know that I can go on my rants, and I got to remember that our mission statement, our number one mission statement for this channel is positivity.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna have the conversation people don't want, but at the end of the day, you got to understand that we're coming from a place of love. And I feel like anybody who comes to this channel, if you rock with us, we love you.
Yeah.
Because if you're watching 2 hours, you're hearing everything we have to say. And so how can I hate you for that? We may think differently, we may have different values, we may have different opinions, but I still love you. And I still want us to come to the middle with certain
Hmm.
things because that's how we start healing the division. I'm hearing time and time again, over and over, civil war, civil war, civil war. I don't want that. Look,
Right.
I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran. I put my life on the line. I'm a Marine, right?
And
That
I really don't feel in the 21st century like what we need is more violence. Like no, like let's we can have this civil discord in a civil manner. It doesn't have to be civil
yes,
war, guns and battles. It can be just like, hey, let's talk and decide like as a nation, where do we want to go?
right.
What direction are we going to choose to, build towards the future?
Trish said, I mean negative by you, right? And you know what? If that's the case, then I apologize. I apologize, but I'm not going to change my values,
Hmm.
and I will try to be better. Because once again, I'm trying to help people. I'm really trying to bring to light some of the things we are doing in society that we're saying it's okay. But
Yeah.
it's really just depravity. But if I do come on here negative, it's because I do feel passionate about certain things. But you know what? Thank you for bringing that to light. I will try to be better. Look, listen, I'm growing. I know that I'm on a mission to continually continue to evolve, right? So who I am today is not who I'm going to be tomorrow.
Right.
So I try to be positive on here, and I think we brought a lot of positivity to the show, right? But there are some certain things I do feel passionate about, and I do feel like it's just leaning to just the decay of society. Like
Yeah.
I said, I
And
don't want a
I
civil
think
war.
showing
I don't want a
like
civil war.
your lighter, more positive side, like today, is what kind of made room for Tris to be able to express that.
Not about changing your values. I admired the discussion, but I felt, I felt enjoy when you guys take the that turn and turn the negative to positive. Good, good. And thank you, listen, Tris.
Yeah.
I value you and Fuzz right now because we're trying to do something. And you guys come in and you guys critique. We take everything to heart. And like you got to understand what's our motivation to keep this channel going, right? Lynn's motivation to be on here is a lot different than my motivation. I see a lot of problems in our society, and I don't want it to. I don't want like I said. I've always believed in America, right? I joined the military at a very young age. I've had those values, and I feel like it's falling apart from within. And
Mm,
I think if we just have more
yeah.
conversations, we can heal that division. We don't need politicians to do that for us. It
Hmm.
starts with us. It starts with our community. It starts with us talking, and it's us being able to say, right? It's us taking a white guy and a black guy, putting them in a room, and saying, "Why is it that you hate me?"
Right.
There was a music video. I forgot. Oh man, I forgot who did the music video, but there's a rap video where he did exactly that. Where he took a white dude and a black guy, and they talked it out, and they were like, "Yo, I don't like you because you do this, this, and this, and this, and your culture is this and this and this." And then the black guy was like, "Well, I don't like you because you're always profiling me. You're always doing this. You're always doing that. You're always holding me down. All this, right?" They had that conversation,
Hmm.
and yes, it's gonna get tense, but we gotta have it as a society. We gotta have it. If not, we're gonna have division. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna see two sides, um, just uh, just fighting. You're gonna have civil war. It was both. It was actually both. It was circumstance because you know what? I didn't want to put that whole obligation of college on my mother. And it was, when the recruiter came, and he was like, "Look, if you don't do this, this is going to be the one thing you regret your whole life. You're going to be the guy who's like, man, I had the opportunity to join the Marines, and I was very patriotic, but I didn't do it." And
Mm-hmm.
then oddly, he told me that story, and once again, there was the guy. The universe presents things in a certain way. So he tells me this story, and then there's like a teacher, right? Because we're at a school, we're doing the recruiting event, and the teacher comes over and he's like, "Man, I should have joined. I had the opportunity and I didn't." So it was both. It was actually both. It was because of the options that the military offered, and it was also I felt the calling. Now once I there, I'll be honest, I hated it. I wanted out every single day. I was there. I was like, yo, this is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's anybody who says, yo, I'm thinking about doing it, I was like, I'll tell them. I'll be like, look, if I could go back in time, I would do it again, even though I hated it because it opened so many doors for me. Plus, it gave me a sense of pride, you know. So
Yeah, I remember like writing to you. I was in middle school when you joined the military. So I remember writing to you and like, being excited when I saw like letters coming from you and just living through you and like seeing all the places you ended up traveling to and the doors that it opened for you. I thought I was, lucked in. I've always
I mean,
been really
so
proud of you for it.
yeah, and to be honest with you, to this day, the doors are still open. Both of
Hmm.
my homes that I have are under VA loans. I get veteran preference whenever there's if I put myself for a job or something like that. Like that preference, I'd rather get that preference than the minority preference.
Mm.
You know? Like
Hmm.
to me, it's like
I feel like like a veteran preference is something that you've earned versus
as
like
opposed
just on
to the
your
color of my
background that you were
skin,
born into. Yeah.
Like I feel like I always feel like I feel dirty. Don't get me wrong, I take the job, but I feel dirty when they're like, "Oh yeah, we have to fill the quota." And I'm like, man, so you tell me there was a qualified white guy and he lost a job?
Hmm.
Like, damn, I
Right.
feel bad, you know? Or even worse, like what's the category? Where does it fall? So you tell me there might be a white female, but because I'm a minority male, I get the job as opposed to her?
Hmm.
Like I don't know. There's some things in society. Yeah, did I take advantage? Am I being a hypocrite? Yeah, possibly because I've had those opportunities. But then I also had the opportunities where, and I've said this on the show before, where a lot of my guidance and doors were opened by white guys in
Hmm.
my life. Be it a white guy who took his time and was like, "Look, this is what we see as Like when I went to a job fair, I was in the military and I went to a job fair in the DC area, and I was like, "Look, I'm getting out in about 2 years. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I just know I don't want to be in the Marines anymore. I got to get out." So I went to a job fair and I was talking to people, and a lot of people didn't want to give me their time because, you know, um, they were working the job fair,
Hmm.
right? And they were looking for people. So there was this one guy out of the blue. I told him what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get an idea as far as where I should drive myself, steer myself so I can get out. And the guy took an hour of his time to talk to me. I don't know if it was because I told him my story. I'm a veteran. I'm getting out, blah blah blah. And so because I was a veteran, he took his time. But it was a white guy who willing to take that hour, and he steered me into IT.
Hmm.
Fast forward, I got into IT, right? I'm working a job. Once again, I was just picked up for my clearance when I got out. So I'm working a manual labor job in the Pentagon. And, my boss at the time, I'm like, look, I'm not happy doing this. I feel I feel I have more potential. And so he was like, all right, well, if you do this, this, and this, I have job opportunities for you. And sure
Hmm.
enough, I went back. I did one, two, three. I came back to him, and he was like, here, I'll put you over to this job. And that's what aligned me into getting into IT security, which then paid me an abundance of money.
Hmm.
So when I see that in my life as a minority, and then I see TV and I hear these narratives that says, white guys are bad. They're privileged. And I'm
Mhm.
like, they're not privileged. They are just trying to get a nut just like everybody else.
Right.
And if anything, they're up against affirmative action when you go into a job and here's a guy who with the same qualifications and you're picking the black guy over the white guy. You got to read. That's reality. We got to
Mhm.
address that. You know. So yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought on that one.
Um.
But
Wow.
yes, but that's the reason why. That's the reason why I do the show with Lynn. Honestly, is because she is my light to not be so negative. She tries to keep me, as you can see, we had this. There was times where she got heated, but she talked. She's open minded, right? And she does it all with a smile. So when I do get negative and when I do go on rants, it's good to have her counterbalance me. So hopefully I don't get so negative because you know what? I don't want to be so nihilistic. I don't want to be so black pill to think that there's no hope in this world.
Hmm.
If anything, I want to take the white pill and hope, like, hey, you know what? If we have the discussions, we can all come meet in the middle and be like, man, we're just all struggling together.
Yeah. Which ultimately
Man,
that's what
woman,
it comes
black,
down to.
white, straight, gay, we're all struggling together.
We're all
So
figuring
let's all
this
meet in the
out
middle and let's work this together.
one
Let's
day at
figure
a
this shit
time.
out. Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly.
So we're actually gonna wrap up.
All right. Man,
We
it's already
went
three
over our
o'clock.
time. Like
Whoa, this
it's
is a
been
good
two and a half
show.
hours.
Yeah, this is a good show. I like the show. It was supposed to be light, but I feel like we went hard again. But it's good. Like I said, I like having these discussions.
Hmm. And hopefully, like we are, getting growth. We're growing from this, and hopefully, the people who tune in are able to grow as well. You guys are being open to new perspectives and just being able to realize that you're not the only one questioning things.
Or question all the narratives, right? Every narrative you hear, question it. What's their motivation? What's BLM's motivation at this point? What's the feminist movement's motivation? At this point,
Hmm.
what's the LGBT? I don't know all the alphabets motivation at this time, right?
Like where are we going? What's the point? Where are we
Yeah.
going?
Are we going to continue a society that we're divided, or are we going to start mending, knowing that it's okay to be different?
Hmm.
And you can't just be like, oh, those white redneck people, they got to change. Well, that's rural America. They're the farmers, they're the truckers, they're the guys that are the backbone of our country. You
Yeah.
can't ask them to change just overnight. You got to have these conversations, and you got to hear their plight as well
Yeah. I mean, and everyone has their
if you
plate.
want them to change.
Farm workers, for example, they never had overtime pay. Like a bill was
Yeah.
just passed here in New York for farm workers to have overtime pay, and their overtime pay is starting at 60 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Everyone has their walls that they're trying to break down, that they're trying to overcome. And um,
Yes.
we need to come together. It's supposed to be about unity, one nation under God, like, oh,
Yeah.
let's go back to that. Let's look at, what our founding fathers wanted, what their
Yeah.
visions were.
And if you look at that, one nation under God. If you look
Hmm.
at just the God part, what comes with being religious and having God? Values, virtues, right?
Values. Yeah.
So if you don't even, if I get it, like most people, they're like, oh, you're forcing a religion on me, but it's not even enforcing a religion; it's forcing values.
Hmm.
Like we gotta stand, we gotta be a nation that stands about something, right? And that's what it was like,
Because if you
one
don't
nation
know what
under
you
God.
stand for, you're gonna fall for anything.
Yes. Amen. Amen. So it's like we got to get back to that. We got to get back to our virtues and our values. And yes, a lot of people are like, oh, we got to take God out of it. We got to take God, stop forcing your religion. But you know what? This country was founded. The laws that we have in this country are based off of the Ten Commandments.
Hmm.
Right? There's a reason why we all know murder is bad. Taking a
Hmm.
life is bad, right? You don't need religion to tell you that, but that's one of the commandments, right? Thou shalt not kill. So
Hmm.
we can stand, and we all can stand and say, hey, killing is bad. How about we all stand about all the other virtues and say, yeah, you know what? We agreed about that one too.
Yeah.
And one of those values is honor thy father and mother, right?
Hmm.
So what is that telling you? You got to have two parents in a household. We got to talk about things like that, and what's leading to the collapse of the household.
Hmm.
We got to have those conversations.
All right,
But
guys. Thank you so
with
much
that
for
said, let
tuning
me not go on
in.
another rant.
Thank you
I
for
love you
tuning
guys.
in.
Thank you for tuning in, Tris. Please don't listen, Tris. You have an open mic. Put down in your comments. Hopefully, one day we'll have the conversation. I want to talk to you because you know what? You are bringing the debate to light. So let's have those conversations. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for challenging me. Thank you for holding me accountable. And you know what? I hope that I hold you accountable too. I love you guys. Have a great weekend.